So I sent her.
Okay, this meeting is being live streamed. There we go. I just had to allow them another level of access.
Okay.
And we should be live. Okay. So on your other device, if you have it open on your other device, just make sure to mute it so we don't get the back the feedback. I'm about to.
There it is.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me turn it down on my end. I'm about to copy the link.
Well, I'm on a cell phone. Let me turn this way, see if I can open myself up a little bit more.
I'm sharing the link out to y'all. Okay. Afro Spiritual is sent to you. Yeah, it's sent to you. Darcel, the link is sent to you. Okay.
Beautiful.
And here we are. Peace. Let me see.
Hey, I can see.
Who all up in here? Who all up in here? Hi, everybody. I'm looking forward to y'all getting up in the chat. Let me see what y'all got going on. I see y'all. Hey, Lanisha. Hey, y'all. Hey, Terry, Queen Beijing. Hey, y'all. I told y'all we was pulling up. I told y'all we was pulling up. Okay. Y'all know I got to have the video look kind of cute, so I'm trying to see if I could go in and change the thumbnail so it could look kind of cute. Okay. Okay. If not, we'll change it after. I hope everyone is well. Hey, Miss Harris, B Bailey, Indigo Blue. I see all the Tina. You bet. Greetings, Tina. How you doing? All right, y'all. We are here. We are live. And y'all see who all up in here. Okay, I'm going to go through and I'm going to introduce everybody. Oh, they say y'all look great. Thank you, Monique.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I'm going to go through and I'm going to introduce everybody. Okay, make sure y'all know who everybody is if you don't already know. Okay, but before we do that, let me just make sure everything is good, and everything is good. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into now, y'all. Okay, I'm super excited about this. And the reason I'm excited about this is because last night we had a time, huh?
We did.
We had a time.
That energy was circulating. Oh my goodness.
A time last night. Okay, look, what are you talking about? Hey, Diddy, you done seen Diddy slide up in here? He ain't getting an introduction. He don't deserve it. Okay, but y'all, this is the live that I'm telling you, okay, y'all gonna need. All right. So I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you got the kids next to you, but I advise that you get your wine, you get your herbal ligation, whatever your vice of choosing is. Okay, and you engage and you have a good time. Y'all come prepared with y'all questions. Don't ask them just yet. Don't ask them just yet, but come prepared with your questions and just know that y'all, we about to have a good time. Okay. If just double checking in the chat, make sure that all of our audio is good. If you ever have a hard time hearing somebody, check your sound first, huh? Because I had to gather my sound. I had to collect my sound before we started. So check your sound first, and then make sure that chime in and say, hey, can we adjust the sound, because we all are working on different devices and everything. I got a headphone in. Everybody on something different. So if y'all ever can't hear us, just ask to can such and such turn up the mic, and we will adjust the audio. We want to make sure all of this could get heard, because the intention of this live is all about spirituality, and all about spirituality for anyone who is a beginner. If you are intermediate level, you it's gonna be some stuff for you too. But this one is really for the beginners. It's for the ones who are like, okay, where do I start? What do I read? What do I need to know? What's the path gonna look like? This is all about what the path is gonna look like. You are looking at 4 individuals who come from different spaces, different places, different times, we have different journeys. But one thing we are all aligned in is the intention of wellness, the intention of being well, the intention of connecting with the higher source and enhancing our inner divine self. That's what we are aligned with. So go ahead and get your pen and your pad. Okay. Look, Jack said, I got my pen and paper ready. Come on, Jack. Hey,
come on, Jack.
You know, get it together. Get your pen and pad. Have your little notes open in your phone because you about to get some resources, some information, some language, and all of that to be able to identify what should you do next on this thing that we call a spiritual journey. Okay, so I'm gonna just go around quickly and introduce everybody. But as I introduce y'all, please share anything else about yourself that you feel like is important that you want the people to know about you. So first, we got to start with the divine elder, huh? The divine elder of the crew.
Hey, divine.
The divine elder. Y'all know I always tell y'all the value of honoring your elders. You know, I always tell y'all the value of paying respect. And some people see me, the Queen Poe, as an elder. But I tell you, I'm just a baby in this thing. And I respect my elders. So the Honorable Divine Light, Ianifa, Chandra, please, and come on, give us some snaps, give us some shoulder shimmies. Little booby shake, come on now.
Girl. They don't want these over there, okay? So. Peace, thank you. Divine is my word. If you are someone that follows me, you know that I will tell you I'm divine as always. And that's how I respond when people ask me how I'm doing in my private life and on here. Okay, so I'm Iana Fashandra Sharice. I'm an intuitive business strategist and spiritual life coach, but I practice the Isheshe tradition, commonly known as Ifa, and that's how the majority of you all know me on here. I've been in this thing for 20 years and I'm still going, and I still consider myself a student, so that should tell you something. My journey started in Santeria and then ended up here. Maybe we'll get more into it about how that happened, but come through with the finger snaps and the divineness, okay?
The funny thing is that they got I didn't even know there was a snapping finger emoji.
Yes.
They got the snapping finger emoji in the chat.
Girl, I see it. Because it's that, and my other term is I go, let's go. When someone gets it, I'm like, let's
go.
Now.
Let's go. I like that. Now, next up, I gotta go to Afro Spiritual. Afro Spiritual is someone who, when I saw his TikTok, he was reading scripture and applying scripture to hoodoo. And I said, this is my type of nigga. You hear me? This is my type. Okay, because y'all know I got videos on my YouTube about can you be a Christian and practice African spirituality? And my video all about hoodoo, I talk about Christianity in hoodoo. So this, understanding Christianity and bringing Christianity as one of the ATRs in a huge aspect in some of the other ATRs. I've always loved when people embrace the true version of Christianity. And Afro Spiritual does just that. So if you feel aligned with that, you need to go ahead and tune into Afro Spiritual. If you don't follow Afro Spiritual, go ahead and go follow Afro Spiritual. But Afro Spiritual, go ahead and expound upon who you are. Okay.
No worries. My name is Afro Spiritual. I'm a hoodoo practitioner. Grew up practicing grew up practicing. Some people consider me a Christian. Some people don't consider me a Christian. I consider myself a little bit of both. Raised Christian, but not raised Christian, if you know what I mean. So when it comes to what I do, Christianity is a big part because it is a language with the ancestors that came before me, simply put. Currently, I'm an Orisha in the Lucumi Santeria practice, and I'm currently saving for Ocha, as in to become a Santero or a Orisha. That's the name for it. That's currently where I am in my journey.
All right. And I'm glad thank you for breaking down that vocabulary. Before we got on here, I was talking to Ia about, how sometimes we use certain terms in certain language and we forget that, this language is not common among everybody. So we're going to get into more of that because you use some key words that the community, that the tribe is familiar with, and I know they're gonna want some more information. So before y'all even start asking y'all questions in the chat, just know that we are gonna talk about his journey as an Orisha. We are gonna talk about what it means to make Ocha and why that is valuable and why he is on the journey of taking his time. We're gonna talk about all of that. But before we get into anything else, I got to slide on to Darcel. Because let me tell y'all about Darcel. I was scrolling on the TikTok and I stumbled upon a lot. I said, who is this? The background, the colors caught me. I said, who is this? I started listening. I said, oh, another one. This is my type. This is my type. Immediate follow. Darcel, please expound upon who you are, what you do, and why you are the divine being you are.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity to be up here and to share this space with all of your followers and all of everyone else's followers. I am Darcel Andre. My full name means a dark, brave life, which is very interesting considering that, and you will see probably in the comments all these light bulbs going up. My community is the Inner Lighthouse, and it is based off of the scripture, John 1:5, which is light shines in the darkness and darkness does not overcome it. And so my particular specialty as a spiritual teacher is through more of a metaphysics route. I grew up Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. That was the first, my first introduction to spirituality, but through the vein of my father and his lineage, as well as my grandmother and my great grandmother on my mother's side, those was the medicine women. And my father practiced transcendental meditation and dealt with a lot of metaphysical workings, breath work, all types of things. And so when I was growing up, I was like, I'm not really sure what's happening here, but I knew it was something. And as I got older enough to recognize what it was he was doing, he was operating from the space that all things operate from. And that is from the source, the truth, the oneness of the universe. And so that's who I am. That is who I am.
I be forgetting, I be muting myself sometimes. I mute myself when other people are talking because sometimes my locks be brushing against my headphones. And I don't want to, sometimes what'll happen is it'll drown out the sound of somebody else while you're speaking. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to have all your space and all your audio. Thank you for sharing that, Darcel. I see the light bulbs going up in the chat. They representing for you. I like that. Okay, wellness community. We need an emoji, wellness community. We need an emoji. Huh? We gonna have to brainstorm on that. Huh? They got a good coochie emoji because my name, the Queen Poe, means divine good coochie. Do they have a good coochie emoji? Huh?
You better find that butterfly emoji.
Okay,
the butterfly
emoji. I need a pom-pom emoji. No, I'm joking out. We ain't gonna have no pom-pom emojis. Okay. But yes. So y'all know who all you are looking at. Y'all know who all you are listening to. I cannot jax y'all.
Oh, I see
y'all know
Jax.
who all y'all. Yes, y'all know who y'all are listening to. And again, we are all aligned in the intention of wellness, the intention of elevating our inner self and connecting with the divine source. So we just gonna go ahead and get started and discussing spirituality. Let's start with the base, the definition. When you think about spirituality, when you hear that word, what comes to your mind? And we're going to go in the order of introductions. Ia, Afro Spiritual, Darcel. When you hear spirituality, what comes to mind for you?
So, I'm going to start off with the negative and then the positive, i.e., it is not religion. That does not come to me first, although people try to separate spirituality and religion all the time. But without spirituality, there would be no faith. Without spirituality, there would be no searching and seeking the truth. So spirituality for me is all things encompassing seen and unseen that helps us get to the higher elevated plane that we need to be. That's it.
I love that. Afro spiritual.
For me, spirituality, when I first heard it, and then I heard a term that went with it, old Native American term, my grandmother told it to me. Spirituality is for those who went to hell and came back, who went through that journey, who delved into those shadows and then rose above it. So to me, spirituality is a system or systems that is used to bring you closer to your higher power and to live in full alignment with it as a vessel and visage of it here on earth.
That just caught me. Okay. Because when you say been to hell and back, you know, I think about the burning sands. You know, I think about the trials. I think about the tests. Yeah, we was just talking about the little tests in a positive way from the elders, but also those tests along your spiritual journey, those tests of life. You know, that right there, that's the whole word. We're gonna talk more about the tests and everything, the trials and tribulations that come with the spiritual journey. Darcel, when you hear spirituality, what's your definition? What do you think of?
When I hear spirituality, I hear all. I hear the everything. I hear the being. It is the commitment that we all take knowingly or unknowingly to recognize that we exist, that other things exist. The original people, through what is now defined as animism, understood that there was an innate aliveness, energy, a living, an extension of God that exists in the rocks, in the trees, in the water, in the system, in the breath, in the thought, in the creation. And so spirituality just is. Spirituality is being. Spirituality is existence. And you don't exist without it, whether you want to call it that or not.
Preach.
Y'all know I got to get my tambourine hand going. Got to get the tambourine going. Okay. If y'all don't know Darcel, let me tell you, you might as well keep a tambourine close to you when Darcel speaks. All right, don't be surprised if you break out in a hymn, in a spiritual. Okay. So
Goodness.
for me, my definition of spirituality is very, very much aligned with all of you all. When I think of spirituality, I think of the relationship. I think of the connection with the universal energy. And that universal energy is a mere ray of the divine source. And I think about how we all, as Darcel spoke on, we all, plants, trees, animals, the water, the land, the birds, every aspect of life carries this universal energy. So for me, spirituality is about how do you connect with that? How do you align with that? What is your relationship? Removing the fear and gravitating, shifting, and digging deeper to the understanding. When that bee is flying past you, do you consider its journey? Do you think about all it's been through before it got to you? When that fly that you hate so much is flying next to you, do you consider its journey? Do you wonder what it may be seeking? When you stand in that water at the beach, when that water is coming from your faucet and you brushing your teeth, have you thought about the journey of that water and the energy it's giving to you, what it's passing to you, how it's transmuting and exchanging with you? That is spirituality to me, for me, and it's all connected to a higher divine source that we are blessed to be in relationship with. So that's my definition of spirituality. And when I think of religion, y'all know I always say religion is the methods, the prescribed methods in which you practice that. So the difference between spirituality and religion, spirituality is everything we all just talked about. But when you have a religion, that's a set of prescribed practices that they saying you got to do this way at this time on this day in this hour at this. That's religion. Okay, if you want to build that relationship, your spiritual relationship, then you need to do all of this. That's religion. When people identify as free flowing spiritual, it just means I may do a little of that. I may do a little of this. Sometimes I meditate. Sometimes I pray. Sometimes I'm going to grab my crystal. Sometimes I got my sound bowl. Sometimes I'm going to do whatever. I got my incense. Hello, I'm going to do whatever. Whatever helps me build that relationship. Okay. So I want to ask you all, because there's a lot of people in this chat. There's a lot of people who's watching this who have, have never really dug deep into the spiritual journey, and they may not have made it to the path of becoming Orisha or Ianifa or anything. They haven't made it that far. They're saying, I'm interested in spirituality. I'm interested in building my relationship with the universe, with the highest source, connecting with my inner self. Where do I start? So before we even give advice on where to start, let's see if we can build relationship and they can pull their own advice from how you started. So Ia, first off, can you explain to the people what it means to be an Ianifa? And how did you even get there? How did you start in your journey of spirituality?
I'm going to try to tell a short story. So, as the Ianifa, so first, the word itself, Ia, as you know, when you Google, y'all are like mother. But it simply means that I'm the keeper of the word of Olodumare, who you may call God. And Baba is the male version of that. So that's what it is. And that's another thing when someone asked the other day, how do you know if someone's true? If they can't tell you that, you need to throw an eye up. And how did I get here? So I've always had quote unquote gifts. And let me be clear, you don't have to have intuitive abilities in order to practice this tradition. And I think that's a misconception that they believe that everyone who is a Babalao is like that. Now, does that develop over time? Yes. But as a child, I would always question things that came to me or that happened to me with dealing with energies, talking with energies. I remember being scared of certain toys and couldn't figure out what that was about and trying to figure out my life. So I always would question when in church what the purpose of that was from like 5, 6 years old. I used to mimic and say what was going to be said before it was said, before it came out the pastor's mouth. And I was trying to figure out, okay, why do I know how to do this? Through that, I always kept in the back of my mind seeking truth. So I found my way going first through spirituality churches that people didn't even know existed, right? And following and looking for psychic mediums and all of those things to understand how they built up their gift, because I didn't have anybody to talk to. Now, what's different is I have family members who would speak to entities, and then it would just sort of be that thing. Have a tambourine in the church one Sunday, and then so-and-so had a dream about such and such. I know all y'all have that sort of relation. You're like, well, what you mean dream? Well, actually, they were standing at the end of their bed. Well, if they're standing at the end of their bed, anybody gonna talk about this? Like, what is that, right? So I was confused and trying to find my life. And somehow I ended with Edgar Cayce. And those of you all that don't know, they call him the sleeping Christian prophet. So Edgar Cayce would talk about past lives, would talk about all of these things, and it was documented. He has a center in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Because of that whole situation and going down that hole, I was like, but I want to know what goes behind that. If you're talking about Akashic records and you're talking about all of these healing things and some of the medicines and stuff they still make via our website now, the organization is still founded in his place. So I'm like, if y'all documented all this, had a whole court reporter documenting, how is this happening? And as I did that, when I left university and moved to the DC area, I was introduced to Santeria because I was looking for something to cleanse, a bath. We just talked about those baths, right? And then that was when I went to a Botanica. And when I went to that Botanica, I was like, wait, clutch my invisible pearls. All of these people, they have community. What? They understand this. What? They're doing these things together. Why can't I find that anywhere else? Why doesn't it feel this way to me? And with dealing with the owner there, she said to me one day, and this is the only thing she said that was right. Because remember, we talked about also trying to find a mentor the other night, right? She said, no, you have to look further back because it was an African that told this. And this is how we got what you have now. And when she said that, that's all I needed. That was all I needed to find my truth. So fast forward some years, studying in between people and meeting different people, I had something traumatic happen in my life that made me decide I was always having my ancestor altar. I was always doing a little bit over here, still with my foot in Christianity because I didn't want to let other people down, right? Instead of living in my truth as I know that I am. And then was still on this side. And when I had one of the most traumatic experiences of losing a child for me, my thing was, how do I save my children? And what can I do to do that? And that pushed me way over the edge. And then from there, I've been flying ever since. And over the edge was, I would try anything in this world to do it. And if that means going through with everything that I was told I needed to go through and get done whatever I needed to get done, and if I was going to do that, that's what I was going to do. And that's how I ended up here. So
Wow. There was a lot that we could pull from that story. There's a lot of advice. There's a lot of messages within that story. Okay. And I see folks, first off, they shouting out the DMV. You know, you got them shouting out the DMV. You got them rapping. Okay.
yes.
But yes, there's so much that could be pulled from that story. And we'll explore that more as we continue on in the discussion. Afro spiritual, how did you get to where you are? You know, on your way, on your journey to make Ocha? How did you go from where you were to where you are?
Well, there's a story within the backstory, so I'm going to do my best to summarize as best I can. All right. I've been having experiences with spirits, entities, energies ever since I was a kid. It was to the point where my mama didn't even know what to do. All right. She didn't know what to do. My grandmother took me under her wing. She taught me literally, I say most of what she know, because the rest of the learning comes from the ancestors, comes from the spirits, comes from God. Now, as I got older, you know, transitioning out of high school and everything, I had you could say 3 years of the darkest period of my life. And that's when I just dropped spirituality, dropped my family's practice altogether, and I fell heavy into drugs. And that was a whole ordeal. It took, I don't look like the person, but I did.
First off, thank you for sharing that Afro spiritual, because I had no idea.
Honey, I pulled a full Scorpio, just saying.
Please share more.
Goodness, pulled a full Scorpio. And then came one day, my grandmother found out what was going on. She took me to the river herself, cut me out of my clothes, dressed me in white, and she baptized me and cleansed me of what was going on. I don't know how long I was under that water, but I saw myself, felt myself go under that water. I opened my eyes, everything was bright. It was white, I couldn't see anything. When I came out of it, I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? What is going on? I ran from my abuser, I ran from drugs, got myself cleaned up, picked back up my family's practice, got back into it, started going to church, started sitting with my ancestors, started sitting in intermission and also in prayer with God. And that's what brought me to where I am. Now, when I initiated into Lucumi and everything, I was in a relationship. I moved to a different country for a man. I pulled the whole stupid thing. I moved to a different country for a man. All right. It was stupid. It was foolish. But you know what? It brought me to where I am today. Everything grew. I received my warriors, of course. I got marked to Elegua. So I'm going to be doing Ultra, getting crowned Elegua. And Elegua literally went like, nope, picked me up, wrecked everything that was going on there, and dropped me right in Pennsylvania, close to my godparents, to recenter and refocus myself, bringing me to where I am today. Everything full on cleanse, went through the darkness, back again. Here I am, standing in my good, standing in my light, literally getting ready to crown. So,
and let's just be clear that that's a whole Elegua story. Okay, that's the whole Elegua type of story. Okay, woo, that was a journey. That's a journey. Thank you. Look, Melanie said you brought her to tears. Brought her to tears. You know,
I'm
like,
sorry, baby.
you know, the thing is, those stories of retribution, those stories of starting anew, I want you to hear all the accountability. I want you to hear all the self-awareness that was in that story. You can't move forward until you are able to look back and say, I did that, and stand strong and stand in power and say, I did that. And here I am. So thank you, Afro Spiritual, for sharing that. Darcel,
Yeah.
how did you get here with the orange in the back? Okay, in full vibe and regalia. How did you get here?
Oh, goodness. Well, so as typical, when I was a child, I had a lot of gifts, or rather abilities, that I did not know that that's what that was. I knew that I knew certain things about people. I would tell my father, my parents, or my mother about people. And even in my little 5 or 4 year old terms, that they weren't a good person. I also would be able to tell when my parents were leaving from wherever they were and coming home. I would hear this, you know, like when you have them old black TVs, you cut them on, that sound you hear, you cut them on. I would hear that, and I would know that my father or my mother were leaving from wherever they were and was coming home. And it never failed me. If I was in the store and I lost my mom, I would hear that same noise, and I would know she was in the aisle to my left. It was in my left ear, or it was in my right ear, she was to the right. And I would know that I could find her that way. So I had a lot of those experiences. And of course, my family, they were actually not really Christian in the sense of the church going, Bible toting experience. They believed in God, but that was really as far as it went. And actually, I was the one that made my family start going to church. I was the one that was like, we need to be having Sunday dinner. We need to be praying all together as a family. It was me. And so I definitely thought that that was the practice that I would stick to. But sometimes, you know, God, the spirit, the universe will lead you to a place for that reason, and that reason alone, not necessarily for you to remain in that same place. But after that, you know, I realized my spiritual assignment after hitting rock bottom and finding out that God made the rock. My father transitioned. Prior to his transition, I was his caretaker because my mother was the one who had to work. And I found myself completely getting lost, to losing days, losing weeks, losing months, because my mind was fixated on the schedule for his medicine, when he needs to eat, when he needs to get up, check his blood sugar, check the blood pressure, you know, check his feet for swelling, lymphedema, you know, he has congestive heart failure, you know, COPD. So I had to be very much so on that, so much so that the nurses, anytime he would need to go to the hospital, they would think that I was like an RN, because I knew everything, and I would come in checking behind them with their notes to make sure they checked everything. I had literally the worst time surrounding my father's transition. And when the day that he passed on, or he passed over, I found out that there were relatives, siblings, that were stealing from my father while he was on his deathbed. I found out that there were items that me and my dad had made together that they had stolen and sold. And in that process, I had 3 mental breakdowns, 3 full-fledged breakdowns. And in the process, my mother went to the hospital, and my dad was in the hospital at the same time. My dad was on the 3rd floor, my mother was on the 1st floor, and I had absolutely no help. So on the 2nd floor, I looked out the window and I said, oh yeah, I can't take this. I'm getting ready to jump out. And right then, my clairsentience was born, because I got a migraine. I got a migraine, shifted absolutely everything for me. I said, well, first of all, how you gonna run? You sit down and recuperate. And so from forth that, there was also more experiences in dealing with what was going on with my father, near-death experiences, bullet holes through my window, almost killed me, had absolutely nothing to do with me. And I had to rely on something higher than myself that I was unaware of, but had been with me the whole time. And my spirit team, my origination, God placed me in a household, in a family where I had an older father. My father was actually 70 years old when he transitioned. And so I knew my father in his late 50s all the way through his 70s. So I was able to be guided underneath the wisdom that can't be matched. And so I realize now, as a spiritual teacher at my age, that the spirit had to place me in an environment where I learned quickly. And so I could get to that point. And so that is where I am right now.
Thank you for sharing all that. I told him in the chat, I said, y'all know we just talked about grief. I said, Darcel about to have us in here crying. Okay, because we just, on my last live, I had a conversation. I ended it with a conversation on grief because I took a 1.5 year break. And similar, this is going into me talking a little bit about my journey. Similar to Afro spiritual and understanding those tests and that being brought down and built back up, and Darcel mentioned the same thing, like understanding that God made the rock, and when we talk about this journey of spirituality, people think that shit always gonna be sweet. They think it's always gonna be beautiful. It's always gonna be easy and everything is gonna be grace. But when you are on a spiritual journey, it's really about how do you respond to life when it lifes. How do you respond when life is lifing? How are you going to respond? That's really and truly what the spiritual journey is about. When I was young, for anybody who doesn't know my story, if you've been here and you know me, if you're in the wellness community, you know me. But if anybody who's new here and you don't know my story, I grew up in a family that I call religiously diverse. My mother, her side of the family always had my mother herself, I will say, always had hoodoo aspects, but everybody was some of everything. And my whole family is like that. Everybody was some of everything. We had people who were, Jehovah's Witnesses. At one point, my mother, she changed constantly, but she at one point was an ordained Baptist minister in a traditional Baptist church, okay? A traditional. Women ain't supposed to be on a pulpit Baptist church, okay? She was in one of those. And went through all the ups and downs of the church, and then ended up going to another church where, come to find out that they were voodoo practitioners, and that was the whole thing within the church. But in that time, we always had a sacred space for the ancestors. We always had an ancestor altar. We always had a place where, my grandmother had a jar of pennies before she passed. We kept pennies on the altar. We kept flowers, candles. We had pictures, and it was a sacred thing. It was a private thing. So when I'm speaking on hoodoo and I'm speaking on keeping things private, I was the child who your friend come in the house and they like, girl, what's that? And I'm like, oh, that's the ancestor altar. That's where we, and then my friend was like, y'all going to hell. Like, so that was always normalized. But what was also normalized, aside from going to church, aside from hoodoo, what was normalized as well was going to the Kingdom Hall when I'm with my aunt. What was normalized as well was understanding the Israelites and experiencing the Black Israelites, because we had some of them too. And knowing that you ain't supposed to go in the kitchen when you're on your menstrual cycle, because they see that as a time of cleansing and all that stuff. So experiencing the NOI and growing up around that NOI, having that Nation of Islam experience and understanding Islam. From a very young age, I had to be diplomatic. From a very young age, I had to understand what's the relationship between all of this. And I was always curious. So I was the child who actually read the Bible. I had my little teen study Bible. I read the Bible. I was a child who actually read the Quran. I was a child who actually read the Hadith. And I read the Torah because I wanted to understand what's the relationship between all these religions. But I always just did what felt right to me. I always said my alhamdulillahs, my inshallahs, because that felt right to me. I always said thank you, God, because that felt right to me. But I also understood to have respect, because one thing I will say is we was raised to respect it all. Raised to respect it all. And even as life had its journeys, even as life had its wild moments, because if you know me, you know my background, some of the things I went through in the childhood, it wasn't what Langston Hughes said, life ain't been no crystal stair. Okay. It ain't been no crystal stair. Dealing with a lot of emotional abuse, dealing with that constant mental health issues with a parent who struggled with mental health issues and the ups and downs and the woes. I always knew that the only thing I can control is me. The only thing I could remain steady and be stable in is me. Even when the environment wasn't stable, when the person who was supposed to be raising me wasn't stable, even when nothing else was stable, I knew that I could maintain stability in me. And that's how I got on my spiritual journey. It was about doing different things that just worked for me. What made me feel well? What made me feel happy? What could I do that would make me just be okay and survive this moment? That's what it was about. And as I got older, I just, thank God for divine alignment and always respecting the elders and having elders just attract to me. I always say I don't have a relationship with my biological mother, but I got mamas everywhere. Everywhere I go, a mama shows up. So that's for anybody. If you don't have a relationship with a parent, everywhere I go, a mama shows up. Literally, I think I hinted at the story the other day. My lady dressed in red. I wrote a whole poem about her. I remember coming home from work and I was at the bus stop in New York City. And sometimes if you anybody who struggles with that, would not have a relationship with a parent, you struggle with that. I was at the bus stop. Sometimes it just comes up and it hits you and you do get sad. And I was at the bus stop and I was about to cry and it was raining and I was waiting under the little passage thing and it was raining and I looked down the street and the bus was coming down. So I stepped out into the rain. I didn't have no umbrella and all of a sudden this red umbrella appears over me. I look over to my left and it's a little lady dressed in all red lipstick on, and she had an umbrella and put that umbrella over me. And in that moment, she was my mama. And I was like, no, ma'am, you don't have to do this. You don't have to. And she said, baby, you my baby. I'm your mama. In that moment when I felt like I needed a mama appeared. So anybody who struggles with the parental relationship, that mamas is everywhere. Okay, you may not have your mother, but you got mamas. So thank God always attracted elders who taught me. And my first elder who led me into studying African traditional religions and opened my eyes to understanding that there are different pathways. I was talking to Ia a little bit about this earlier before we started the Zoom, understanding that there are different pathways. And she was like, I want you to go sit and talk to this person. They are Lucumi. I want you to go over there and talk to this person. She's a Mumbo. I want you to go talk to this person. Go spend some time over there. And this is before I actually went to Ghana, and then she herself was Isheshe. And she said, this is Ifa. And I sat at her feet and I learned and I learned and I learned until she transitioned. And that is how I started my journey. And I am here. I am here. I am here and still learning, still a baby, still going to every possible thing I could go to talk to everybody I could talk to, and here we are. Okay. So if you are starting your spiritual journey, if you on your spiritual journey, okay, heavy on the mamas, Saray, heavy on the mamas everywhere. If you are on your spiritual journey, just know that whatever you need, whatever is aligned with your wellness will come to you. It will attract to you. When you're going through the roughest times, that universal energy is going to pick you back up and put you in alignment with what's for you. Okay, so anybody who's dealing with grief, anybody who's dealing with sorrow, anybody who's dealing with missing anything, feeling like you need something, feeling like you don't know where you are or what's next for you, just trust that the universe is going to place you back in alignment. Speaking of being in alignment, Ia, as an elder, you know, we often have people who will reach out to all of us and say, I need help. I need help. I feel like I'm being attacked. I feel like this is happening to me. I feel like, you know, and basically what they're saying is I'm out of alignment. What do you think people can do to get back in alignment? If they feel like they're being attacked, if they feel like their life is just knocking them down, what advice would you give them to get back in alignment?
So I'm zoned out for a second. So I need to address you first before I answer your question. And then the people in the chat, because I'm watching them, because they're like, what about the fathers? So I'm gonna get to y'all too. So when you were talking about mothers stepping in, right? And you had that brief moment where you were remembering that situation in itself. Just know that your desire to understand all of these practices and the basis of them, the whole time you talked about that and what was going on with your mother just screamed to me, oh, Romila, because he is the balance between all energies. He is the reason that we obsess over things, right? He is the one, the youngest, yet the one that creates what it is that we need in that communication that we need. So you have always walked in this path unbeknownst to you, because he was always having you do a little bit of this, and it doesn't ever come without struggle. So don't let that fall behind without thinking about that, because then you wouldn't be able to teach the way that you're teaching.
Yeah, well, you gonna leave me alone because you ain't about to have me on here crying in front of the people.
I was about to say, when did this turn into a Misa?
I was zoned out. I was like, oh, you need to know, because we don't understand it in the time that we're going through, and it doesn't make sense. And you like, why is this happening to me in this way? And all of these things are imbalanced, but then you still seek the truth, because those who seek the truth will find it. And sometimes it'll just set itself there, but you have to go through all of those other things so that you can respect it when it comes to you. And that is what happened in your case. So even when we go, all of us, all of our journeys and everything that we've gone through, we still were seeking to understand. And sometimes we had to do it by ourselves when nobody wanted to pay any attention to us or help us. And we were figuring it out. But look where it got us. If it didn't get us here, we couldn't be the teachers that we are. We could not guide people without the struggle in the shit. It just would not happen. There would be no respect for other people. So true ATR is that, respecting everybody and their beliefs and what they do. And you can't do that if you don't study them. So kudos to you and your journey, because that's what it screams to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. To the people in the chat that said, what about the fathers? She was speaking as her personal experience. That does not negate male or male energy. So I need for y'all to stop doing that colonized stuff, because that's not going to fly. That's not going to elevate you if you always have to look for the balance from one from another. If her experience isn't that, dealing with the father, then she's not going to speak to that. We can only teach you what we relate to. Then we can talk to you about the experiences of the people that we help to help you. But other than that, you need to meet people where they are, and she's meeting you where she is. So let's get that cleared. Let's not do that, okay? Let's not do why not this and that. You're here to learn, so do that. And now, to answer your question.
Getting called out already, shoot.
To answer your question, the last part of it again, please, so that I can get out of trance and answer it. Queen, what's the last part of your question that you asked?
The last part of my question was, I was about to put it in the chat. I got to put it in the chat because I could say it. I was going to say, she said what she said. She said what she said. Okay, Ia has spoken. Stop comparing and contrasting. Okay, anyway. Yes, Ia, the last part of the question was for people. Oftentimes people come to us and they say that they feel like they are out of alignment. They feel like they are being spiritually attacked. They don't know what to do. They come to us with urgency of, how do I right now get up and put myself back in alignment? What is some advice that you would give to them on what are things they can do themselves to get up and put themselves back in alignment if they feel like they are under attack or going through something that they feel like they can't handle?
Okay, so you need to always strive in everything that you do. And I talked to Darcel about this quite a bit, and he hears me say it, and some of y'all with him hear him say it. Everything you strive to do needs to operate in peace. If it does not bring you peace, don't do it. I understand that some of us have a worry spirit, because I used to be that way 110 times down, anxiety ridden and all. Okay. Okay. So I get it. But the moment that I realized that I need to not worry about, and that's hard to do, especially when you're like, they're probably putting a curse on me. I'm so tired of hearing that one. Listen, you have to protect yourself. And the only way you could do that is if you have peace within yourself and believe in yourself to do so. So if you are saying, hey, I need to say this prayer because I need this protection, but you're worried about what XYZ is doing, then whatever XYZ is doing is still going to bother you because you don't have peace. So start with peace first. Secondly, find your peace in communing with things that you may not understand, i.e., your ancestors. I say this every time. I know that Queen Poe has talked about it. You will always start with them, whether you know them or not. They will always be the door to guide you to whatever you need, even when you think no one is listening. Talk to yourself then. Do it your damn self. Think it's you. But when I tell you, you will find the right teachers, the right information, the right book. May not be always the right knowledge, but it'll be the right book to trigger you to look for more. Because as I said before, when you seek truth, you will find it, right? It'll like this, and it'll come quickly. But your beginning for you is your thanks and your reverence to them, because they lived the human experience, and therefore there are things that they can do for you that you didn't realize they could do. And their blood runs within your blood, whether you know them specifically or not. So people that always say, well, how do I do that? What do you mean? You do that when you're sitting there and you hear that little voice in your head and you think it's you talking to you, and it's them telling you to get your ass up and move. Don't do that. Walk away from there. That little inkling you get in your chest where you're like, something doesn't sound right. This person is lying. Who you think that is? That's not necessarily always you. So respect them. They respect you. Those are the two things you can do for free.
Yes.
Listen,
Yep.
Yes.
for free. And once you do that, I used to have an she would keep telling me, she was like, did you do your ancestors? Do you have a picture of your grandmother or something? Do you have something you want to do? Did you talk to them? I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. And it was like, oh yeah, you got it. Well, how often have you talked to them? Oh, I may have went there once a week. No, boo. You can talk when you're walking, you can light up, you can do whatever. She was like, work with them a little more. So those things will then guide you to everything else, and it'll start to come fast. You don't think so because you've been seeking for so long. When you finally get on the right path, you think it's not happening fast enough. But just like I told Queen Poe, you cannot respect where you are until you go through some things. So you're not going to respect how quickly it comes to you unless you've gone through some stuff to get here. So take your time. Your time is not spiritual time. So stop trying to do that. Your growth is in spiritual growth. So stop trying to rush it. I'm always telling people to stop trying to skip to the back of the book without reading the pages. You cannot do that. It took me 20 years to get to a point where I was comfortable. It took me that long to get to a point where I was like, cuff everybody else if they got a problem with what I'm doing. When you stop worrying about how other people are judging you and you walk in whatever you're supposed to be doing, watch how they come to you for help, because they already know that you bring them peace. Thus, start with peace for yourself and everything else will follow. I'm done. I close the mic. Thank you.
Mic drop. Mic drop. I'm just gonna ask another question because what else can we say? Afro spiritual. Okay.
I mean, I can try, but Jesus.
What I'm gonna ask of you, Afro spiritual, is because first off, hey Cece, I see you in the chat. That's my turn. Hey Cece. But okay, Afro spiritual. You are on the path of making Ocha. Can you explain to the people what it means to make Ocha, and what has your journey been like to make Ocha as far as taking your time? Because I will say, oftentimes, y'all, this is for everyone in the chat who is honoring Orisha and you want to rush your process with Orisha. Okay, this is for you. And I always say, take your time. He's about to explain what take your time looks like in alignment with Lucumi. Okay, take your time.
Now, I want to say that I have not made Ocha yet. I'm still saving for Ocha. Okay, and that's a process within itself, because saving for Ocha, saving for your
Ocha?
ceremony.
What is Ocha?
Ocha is the ceremony that you go through to be crowned the Orisha that you're marked to. Now, depending on, and this is what my godparents told me, depending on how long it takes you, sometimes the Orisha that you're marked to might not end up being your crowning Orisha.
Afro spiritual, 1 second. I'm sorry to interrupt. So everybody who be like, I want to know who's my head Orisha. I want to know who's my head Orisha.
No,
what
you don't.
Explain it to you right now. It's for you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to tell it to you like this, because my godmother, my madrina, she gets on everybody who comes through into the Ile, which is an Orisha spiritual house. That's what the Ile is. She gets on everyone that comes in saying that they want to know who is their head Orisha. If you're not looking to, in Lucumi, if you're not looking to crown within that year, do not find out who you're marked to or who you may be crowned to. Because if you do not fulfill that obligation timely, they will turn your life upside down until you do it. So if you're not looking to be serious and 100% devoted to Orisha, do not find out who you're crowned to. Because if you're not going to give in that devotion, there's no point in you knowing. You're just messing yourself up and shooting yourself in the foot. I will say that because my godmother is a stickler on that. Okay? Now, Jesus, lost my train of thought.
Hold on 1 second, because I'm putting it in the chat. Y'all, what I'm doing is I'm trying to let y'all speak, because I don't want to interrupt y'all, but I was going to put it in the chat. I was going to say, listen to this, because oftentimes, y'all, if you know me, I always tell y'all, don't ask Orisha for things. Don't try to divine through Orisha if you have not taken proper steps. Simply because Orisha, if you are looking to take, you gotta give. If you're looking to take, you gotta give. And oftentimes people are saying, "Oh, Shun, can you give me this? Oh, y'all know Shun is y'all favorite. Oh, Shun be the favorite.
I'm telling you.
Oh, Shun, can you give me this? Oh, Shun, can you give me this? Oh, Shun, can I have?" And I'm telling you, but you gotta give. And if you don't give, they're gonna take. Okay? If you don't give, it's gonna be taken.
But that's why you start with the ancestors, Queen, because then they learn how to do that.
The ancestor veneration comes first. And the thing that Afro Spiritual is speaking upon is, don't be in a rush to find out who is your head Orisha, because not only because if you're not doing the proper things, you're going to be placed in a position to have to do it. Also, something you spoke on, Afro Spiritual, is it may change. Can you expound upon that?
Yes. The way I observed it, and this is because, observing my godparents do consultations and stuff like that. Some people could get marked when they're children. In Lucumi, they could get marked to a certain research as children. Years will go by. They're walking thinking that they might be marked to, for example, that someone's marked to Oshun, but years go by. They have not done Ocha or anything like that. Then you sit down at the mat again, come to find out, oh, you're no longer marked to Oshun. You took too damn long. So now you're marked to a different Orisha. Simply put, you did not fulfill that obligation timely enough. Not saying that Oshun no longer fucks with you or anything. Excuse me if I'm cussing. It's adult friendly, you said, so shoot. It's not that Oshun don't fucks with you or anything like that. It's just that to be her child, you took too long. And Oshun is the last one you want to mess with, because though she's sweetness and everything, she castrates male rams with a smile on her face. She will mess you up. She's a warrior in her own right.
Now, I also want to say, I'm about to slide you in. Yeah, I'm about to slide you in. What I also want to say is, as I told you at the very beginning of this live, if you are late, in the very beginning of this live, the intention is to discuss spirituality, African traditional religions, and the various pathways and understandings. If you are a beginner, this is perfect for you, because I want y'all to understand this, okay? Because when I say things like Eshu, Elegba, Papa Legba, whatever path is your path is, the reason I say that is because things are different in every tradition and every practice, okay? So he is speaking, Afro Spiritual is speaking from a Lucumi perspective. Iya is Ifa, Isheshe. Okay, there's a difference. So Iya, can you expound upon what Afro Spiritual was saying, but from Isheshe Ifa perspective, please? Ooh. She's frozen. She's frozen. Yeah,
Oh,
you can
there you
hear me.
are.
Am I back?
Expound upon,
Yes.
yeah,
Am I
you're
back?
back. Expound upon the aspect of the whole conversation with head Orisha and all of that stuff from an Isheshe perspective, please.
So, and I'm going to say from a true Isheshe perspective, I'm going to say it like that. One that is definitely from the beginning. So people will ask us all the time. I even asked my Iya the same thing. I was like, so who's my head? Right? But in Ifa, there isn't always a direct head. You have a spiritual team, and your spiritual team can be a minimum of 16, which speaks to when he spoke about it changing. So when you get a divination from the Sheshe perspective, whoever comes up in your divination, that's your team. And it may say within that team that this is the one that you need to guide you the most. And then this is also why later it may seem as if it changes, but you just add to that team. For instance, it'll say for someone, because of a certain situation in their life, that they should receive the icon of or initiate under this particular one, or this is your main one. And that reason is because it needs to be done to create balance. Ifa is all about balance of the energies in your life. Now, later, it may say you need to receive the icon of this one. That doesn't negate the one that you got. Not everybody is going to get the answer that says, this is my head. And we don't believe in the patriarchy of everything. So we don't believe that you have a mother and a father. So you don't get a masculine and then a feminine. You get whoever you get. Okay. So again, there's a minimum of 16. There are Irumules and Orishas, and there's a difference. And Irumule is a higher spiritual being.
I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but so some of the language is a little confusing. People are saying all the names. I'm lost. Some of the language is a little confusing. Y'all, I just want to say this to people in
What are
the
we
chat.
doing?
Y'all gonna have to listen closely because EI ain't even really said no language that's confusing. Now she's about to start breaking down,
Yeah,
Orun and so on and so forth. Yeah, y'all,
so you
y'all just
understand.
gotta listen close. And if it's too much, you're gonna have to rewind it back, or you might have to watch this again. But she ain't even scratched the surface yet, y'all.
Yeah, this is
okay. What Iya is talking
No.
about, I just learned last night from my padrino in a Lucumi perspective. So it's kind of funny that you're talking about this right now.
It must be meant for you to hear it as well. So, and those of the people that follow me know this very well because they hear me have to repeat what an Irumule and Orisha is. So you all always talk about Orishas because that's what you're commonly known to hear about. But an Irumule is a higher spiritual being that exists within the Isheshe system, within the Ifa system. We talk about Ifa as a system. Now, the Irumule, and you will hear this understanding the concept of God had a son named Jesus that came down to earth and then ascended. So I'm going to give you that same concept. The Irumule, some of them, which are the ones that you all talk about more often than not, came down from Orun or heaven, lived a human experience. And this is why when I was talking about who could be your head, sometimes it will say that you are DNA'd, you are the descendant of one of these Orishas or Irumules, right? Because they lived a human experience and then they ascended back. Now, that also goes into why you know about sainthood within the Catholic religion. So, some of them who have done that, and then it tells you that your DNA, then you're thinking, well, this is my head, but that's not always true. This just means that you have a different type of connection when you venerate your ancestors to this particular energy. And then you can receive another energy that is your head. So that Orisha lived a human experience, and that is why they are called Orishas. All right. So that was me slowing down the chat.
Y'all, I'm literally typing it in the chat right now. Y'all, please take notes because she just explained the difference between Orumele and Orisha. Okay,
Yes.
so she just explained the difference. Okay.
The word is IRUNMOLE. You don't hear very many practitioners talk about it on here. So it's IRUNMOLE, Irumule, higher spiritual beings. Orumula is the Orisha that you all know as Ifa. So people always think that when we say we practice Ifa, that we're practicing worshiping Orumula, but that's not what it is. So that's the difference. Yes, higher spiritual.
Okay, see, I always, and y'all, that's why I said I'm a baby. I always thought Rumile and Orumila was the same. I always thought it was the same in alignment.
Yes.
And it's funny,
and not all of them have lived a human experience. For instance, the other night on the live, we talked about Egbe, the energy Egbe. You notice that when we speak about Egbe, we don't say that Egbe is an Orisha, right? So what are they? And when we speak about the elders of the night, we don't call them Orishas either. So you see what I'm saying? So Egbe is like a Rumula in a sense, because we deal in energy. So everything has their place and they existed along with the duality. So that's what I'm trying to explain, just that there are differences and then people don't realize. So when you ask us, when I get people, they're like, so I just want to know who my head is. But then it lists 4 different Orishas and Arumula that you need to appease. And it'll say, well, this one you really need to appease like right now. That one that you say right now, that exists. But if you come to me in 6 months and you ask me, that one may still show up, but then it may actually say, oh, well, this one is the one that is guiding you at this moment. So it's very hard to just go around and say, this is what it is.
Interesting.
Y'all, you see, look,
elders of the night. Yes, respectfully, they're called the mothers royal. Elders of the night, royals. Some people call them the witches and being disrespectful because that's a European term, but that's what it is.
Interesting. No, I find this very interesting because, you know, me being in Lucumi, seeing it and learning it one way, but also hearing it how it's done in Ifa Sheshe, I'm like, interesting. Very interesting, because over here, when you sit down at the mat and everything, you go through Ocha. Yes, you receive your head, you get crowned your head, but 3 months later, you receive the counterpart, the feminine or masculine counterpart to who's on your head.
Yeah,
now you do receive all the other Orishas depending on who you're being crowned to and all that stuff, because they also speak and have a presence in your life. So I find it interesting. I'm like, oh, okay, so there's those differences. Okay, I see you.
Yes, but you have to also understand it was because of the slave trade and how quickly we had to get information out, right? You had to share quickly, so you did things a little differently in order to make sure that it's still, the tradition still lived on. Thus the differences in the ATRs.
Because in Lucumi, you receive your crowning Orisha, but you receive all the Orishas based off Odu and all that stuff, instead of trying to go back to Africa, receive an Orisha, come back, go back to Africa. Yeah, no.
See, now what's interesting is there are times within your initial initiation process, you can receive multiple at that time. Right. So you don't always have to travel, but then there's always going to be the one where you sort of pick, I guess you should say, which one is the one that you want to teach up under.
Okay, so Big Empress just asked, and I think this is important, you know, for anybody who is interested in Orisha, and wanting to know more. What are some signs they can look for to know? First off, I have my own thoughts and views on this. Okay. And if y'all know, I always tell y'all, various Orisha can carry you or walk with you through different times of your life. Okay. So as they give their opinion, as they say, you know, share their wisdom, their knowledge, remember that various Orisha can walk with you at different times in your life. Okay. Now, what are some signs they can look for? What are some things they should be aware of when it comes to understanding who is carrying them, walking with them, or even who is their head Orisha or Orishas?
I'm glad you air quoted. Some people dream But you have to understand too, because we actually had this happen when we were on a trip, that sometimes an energy will present itself as something close to you or close to someone else, so that you will ask the questions just so you will get to the divination to find out who's talking to you. So great example of this is LaRonda in this chat. And she was on a trip with me. She had a dream about the energies Egg Bay, and she knew very well that they were around me, right? But she asked me, it's almost like she forgot for a second. She asked me about it. And when she asked me about it, I called my Lou, because I was like, I need you to hear this for yourself, so you won't think I'm leading her on that she had a dream.
Yeah. 1 second. 2 terms. Now, yeah, we talked about this. 2 terms. Okay?
Egg Bay energies, heavenly mates. Olu. Hi, okay. Baba.
Okay. Hold on.
So Olu means
anybody
teacher.
In the community, I told y'all that when you're talking to the elders, they done been in tradition for so long that they just be throwing lingo out and forgetting that this ain't common man's lingo. Yeah, Egg Bay and Olu.
My bad. OLUWO, Olu, okay, means higher teacher, higher within the tradition. Babalao is in the tradition as well, but Olu can crown a king and can become king. So there's a different level, and typically has multiple students at one time. So when you get a divination over here and we call back to Nigeria and you watch the video of it, Darcel got to see this today. There are usually more owls or followers of the practice. Sometimes they are students. You will see them around, and that is what an Olu does: educate and continue to educate. So when I speak about Olus, that is a higher teacher within the tradition. It is Olu who decides if you are really well enough or the person to be in Iyanifa or Babalao. It is a Olu who does the initiation process. It is the Olu who says, this is how you learn, and I'm going to be your teacher. Okay. And it's OLUWO. So
Egg Bay.
We believe that there is a duality here on earth as it is in Arun, or your spiritual space in heaven. And Egg Bay are your spiritual mates, mostly represented by children in some aspect, okay? When Egg Bay is out of balance, you will know there were things that are happening on. I find that women who have problems with their mother, and this is just from my experiences with divination, that have extreme problems with their mothers in their life tend to have Egg Bay around them. Okay, so and let me just say that. So Egg Bay. So I'm talking about Egg Bay as the energies, as your duality. So there's supposed to be a duplicate of you and your family and the family you agreed to before you came here. So, and that's EGBE, Egg Bay. Okay. So now I was explaining, she had a dream in reference to them based off of a conversation we had earlier. But when she had that dream, my Lulu, my higher teacher, explained that it may not be them. It may just be because they're affiliated with her, right? That this is something that you need to find out, and we can find that out for you if you so want to know. But what was interesting is she only told part of her dream, and he said, if they visited you, there's something else you're not telling. So who were you helping in your dream? And she was like, and she said, oh yeah. And then she recalled what it was. But they will sometimes, and this is me getting to you saying you connect with certain energies. Sometimes an energy will be presented to you that may not necessarily be the energy for you, because is to lead you to another question. So when you say you want to do reverence with energies, can it be seen? Yes. Who are the people or the energies that will help you in that reverence? Your ancestors, because you don't have the ashe or the spiritual power connected to these energies directly. Okay. And because you don't have the ashe and the spiritual power connected to them directly, you can do all the pictures and the candles and shit that you want. But if you don't talk to your ancestors to help you out until you get that, then you're not doing anything.
So I don't know if y'all just caught it. I just explained why ancestors must come first. I just explained why ancestors, You have to honor your ancestors and start there. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, because everybody wants to be connected to Oshun or Shango or, you know, all the ones that you all know, and not all the 801 that exist. But I'm just saying, you have to start look, because there's subsets to the subsets. I tell myself this all the time. You have to take your time, honor them. They'll bring you to the energy you believe that you're connected to, because everybody wants to be connected to some water in some kind of way. But when you get a divination, you shall find out in the moment in your life that you're getting that divination for who you're connected to. And then you can build a more direct relationship, because appeasements would have been done. And if you are to receive them, then you are to receive them and be able to take care of them the same way you reverence your ancestors. Yes. So that's what that is all about. And no, someone asked a question once, and I feel like someone's asking this here: why do you have to go through other energies in order to get to God? You don't, boo. God assigns jobs, and so you're dealing with the person with that job. So don't think that you don't have God within you and that you can't just do it. That's not the point. The point is, he gave a job. They're handling their job, and that's what you need to do in order to elevate within whatever it is you want to do. Okay.
Yeah, please, can you please explain that part, right? Because when people think of Orisha, they think of Orisha as like these like
Deities.
little gods, yeah, like deities, like little gods. Can you please explain the jobs per se?
Yes, so we will refer to them, like we in the tradition refer to them in language and terms that make it easier for you to understand, because Yoruba language and then English language don't always match up. So yes, we'll call them gods or deities, right? But the truth of the matter is, as a being, as an Arumule, remember I told you that's higher spiritual beings, and then as an Orisha, right? Still higher spiritual beings, but a little different. Between the both of them, it is no different than when you do sainthood. So jobs, Olodumare lives in all of us and in all things. Olodumare was like, hey, instead of you all taking your own visit on up to heaven to ask me some questions, I'm going to have some people here, i.e. some energies. They're going to handle these things for you. Your appeasement to them helps their job of balancing the energies around you. And when you decide that that's something that you're not doing because you have imbalances in your life, when we walk in energy, that's what it is. When things go to hell, it's an imbalance in our life. When things are difficult, it's an imbalance in our life, right? Both on the physical, the mental, and the metaphysical. These energies, their jobs are assigned to them per the things that you read. So you're like, oh, Yamaja, I love her and she's with the ocean, right? But then everybody forgets about Olokun. They don't ever talk about him, right? They don't ever say, oh, what about Olokun? Because you don't think about it. Olokun handles all the things in the lower level of the ocean. So because of the way that their energies are, they are assigned, hey, you handle that down there and you handle this up here, and that's how you deal with it. So they have their jobs. Their jobs are typically what you all Google, and sometimes those things don't exist in that way. But just make sure that you understand that you are not circumventing God or Olodumare. That's what we call God. You are not circumventing. Olodumare, Mickey, is God. God is a Germanic term. I say it all the time, that it was because of the printed Bible in the 1500s, and it's a long sentence and they shortened it to God. So that's why we use God. But anyway.
Y'all, I'm trying to take, I'm putting notes in the chat, y'all. So y'all see the little note paper in the chat, screenshot that or take pictures of that. But y'all, please, y'all just gonna have, again, y'all just gonna have to listen, because I don't want to have to, when you have a powerful teacher before you, when you have an elder with an abundance of wisdom, you want to just practice the art of allowing them to flow, and you got to know how to take notes. So y'all know how I always say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The teacher has appeared, y'all. The teacher has appeared. So when people always say, oh, well, how do I find elders? How do I find, the teacher is before you. You have to show yourself approved as a student. Listen close. Take notes. Even if you don't understand what you write, and just write and go back and study your notes. That's the purpose of notes. Okay? Just write and go back and study your notes. So as she's speaking, y'all need to just be writing. writing, and then go back and study after, and then come back and you'll be able to answer, get some questions answered, okay? Please, that's how you be a good student. I'm taking notes as well because I'm a student of EI, okay? So I'm telling y'all as a student how to be a good student, okay? Please, just take notes, just write. So EI can just allow her mind to flow and share and give us the wealth of knowledge. Thank you, Dylan, for the language, the wealth of knowledge that she has, okay? Please continue your train of thought, EI.
Okay, so Olodumare, contrary to popular belief, all of the ATRs believe in one that can create and destroy, period, okay? But we also believe that he created other energies in order to help balance out humanity's issues and problems. Now, I know that some of you will wonder, well, what's going on with the world now? There are lessons that need to be learned. And don't think just because you don't see people in ATRs praying for you that we aren't praying for you. And I've said this on the live. We do Hoodoo Ebo for y'all. And that's why things aren't worse than what they are.
So, language, EI, language.
Ebos. Offerings, certain particular prescribed offerings or sacrifices to balance the energies here on earth and in heaven, i.e. in a room. Boom. So, okay, EBO.
Ebo. That's what y'all always be asking for. When y'all be like, what can I do? Can I do
Yes.
an offering? Can I do a spiritual bath? Y'all are asking for Ebo, okay? And
Yes.
Can you explain why it is not advised that you just give recommendations for Ebo freely?
Yeah, because not everybody's right. Not everybody is aligned as they should be in doing the things that they're supposed to do. And you can't always listen. It always needs to be done rule-wise under the guidance of Olodumare. And through that is through the tools of Orumula Ifa, who we call Ifa sometimes. So in our case, if the word of God, because I already told you that's what Ifa means, if the word of God, word of Olodumare does not say that this is what needs to be done, you just can't go sacrificing and doing things because you feel like it. It will mess up more than it does to help. This is also why when Queen talks about aspects of hoodoo in a certain order in which you do it, that's the reason, because aspects of hoodoo come from this practice. So they took what they could, they learned what they could, they educated as they could, and they did with what they had. Okay. And hoodoo is also healing medicine. Where you think all your doctors get their pills from? Because they learned from some Black folks how to make the pills, how to make the herbs, and then all of a sudden figured they could make some money from it. Oh, I hope YouTube does not take what I'm about to say down. Did y'all listen? The cane of Coke,
they're not ready
that's
for
what I'm
that
going to
one.
say. The cane of Coke used to go in cakes and stuff. The cane of Coke, it was okay when it was mixed for medicines to help people with their cough and stuff. If you look at the Smithsonian.edu right now and you go to their archives, you will find whole medicine things done in regular baking recipes, not even right using things. But now, since the cane of Coke can't be used that way, now we got the cane of Coke cough syrup, right? Because they need to make some money off of it. They told you it was bad for you. Yeah. You hear what I'm saying? And where you think they got that from?
She talking about that powder, y'all, in case anybody is lost. She's talking about that powder.
Yeah.
That powder used to be used for healing purposes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And people are playing it for something else. So see what I'm saying about ATRs, the whole hoodoo practitioners and everything that they do. This is why you have medicine today. It became something. Do you know all of these people that used to go visit the houses? They learned from people practicing African tradition. They learned how to be medicine people and then turned around and bottled it up, told you need to go to school for it. Come on now. Where do you think it came from? If you don't understand the balances of energy within your body and unseen, you can't do the things that you need to do. And this is why you must have EBOs done properly. It needs to have the right prescription. And an EBO, that's what it is. It's a prescription for the issues in your life.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. The EBO is a prescription. So when people are like, DMing us and saying, "Oh, I feel like I'm in turmoil. This is happening," and they saying they feel like they attacked, and all of this stuff is happening to them. And you're asking us for Ebo. You are asking us for a prescription. You don't just walk into the doctor's office and say, "Give me some whatever pharmaceutical." You don't just do that. Okay, so this is why things are handled the way they are handled. Okay, you don't just do that. There are processes and practices and things like that. And some people aren't even in the position that they should even be prescribing you anything. They haven't gone through the proper processes and even have what they need to prescribe you anything. Okay, so aside from asking for Ebo and asking for all of these quick remedies, I want to bring it to Darcel, because Darcel, something I think is beautiful about you is that you speak to people who are coming into the spiritual journey trying to understand themselves. And the other day you put up a TikTok about an African proverb discussing trauma. Can you explain to anybody who right now is feeling like, okay, I'm in this space, I done went through so much, I done been through a lot of trauma, I'm ready to start my spiritual journey, I feel like I just need a cleanse. What would you tell them before, if they not ready for Orisha, they're not ready for Ifa or Lucumi, what would you tell them to, like, hey, this is how you come about that trauma and you be better?
Yes. Well, so we, due to supremacy and the ridiculousness that is the patriarchy, tend to operate worldwide in a hyper masculine space. What we got to understand is that there's a difference between the societal English understanding of masculine and feminine, as in out here chopping wood, out here in here baking biscuits. Okay, there's a difference between the societal understanding and how that shows up in the spirit. The masculine energy is to do. It is the action. It is the work. The feminine energy is to be, right? It is wisdom. It is knowledge. That is the feminine energy. So because we are in this hyper masculine world, what happens is everybody's trying to figure out what is it that I need to do without focusing on how it is they need to be. What is it that I need to do? I need to be doing this. Oh my gosh, how do I do this? What book? I gotta go figure. How do you be? Check in with being. That's the feminine. And that is the balance that needs to be restored. That's why all of these men with these platforms degrading women are falling out. Because you must honor the feminine. So I would say we're going to start addressing, getting in alignment with our own feminine energy, and that's being. And the first thing that you need to do if you want to do something is be still. Stillness. Stillness. Stop figuring, stop planning, stop reaching out, stop calling, doing this. Get still and understand self. When you tap into self, you want to understand what the universal principles are. And these universal principles show up in Ifa. These universal principles show up in Lucumi, in Christianity, in Buddhism, in whatever practice that you want to ascribe to. They show up and they operate in there. If they do not, run. The first universal principle is oneness. That is that all things are connected. All things are one, i.e. Olodumare, God is in everything as you. That's one. Another one, and this is the one that really has everyone in a chokehold, these next series. It is the universal law of vibration, meaning the frequency. Everybody said, that's a low vibrational play. And then Coach Stormy said, this is low vibrational. That's high vibrational, this, that. But we have to understand what that means. Every single thing in existence is operating, vibrating, and moving, right? At different energy levels and different frequencies. So because of that, now this is why mess shows up in your life. You also have connected to that what is called resonance, okay? And this is an example of that. A scientist did an experiment where they were on a stage, you know, with them little triangles they ring, and it's an instrument. One was on the stage, the other one was way in the audience at the door. And so what happened was the one on the stage rung the triangle, hit it, and the triangle by the door automatically started ringing because both of these triangles were in the same key, i.e. the same frequency, right? They tried it again with another triangle that was not in that key, and that triangle did not ring, which means the things that show up in your life, the situation, the circumstances, and the people that show up to you are the people that are resonating, are the situations that are resonating with you. And that is because of the vibration and the frequency that you are operating in. And you need to get that in alignment by starting with self. You got to. You want to know how you find out a practitioner, how you prevent yourself from getting fooled with your discernment. How do you master your discernment? Sitting with self. You got to sit with self. And if I could, I would like to talk about meditation. Ring it, ring it, ring it. If I could, I would like to talk about stillness, and I would like to talk about meditation, because this is always a thing that comes up and people have been misconstrued. Meditation is not, or rather does not have to be you sitting there with your legs crossed on the mat with the chakra system on the wall in a certain pose, listen to this music and river sounds, the sound bowl sounds and frequencies for an hour and a half every day. That's not meditation. Meditation is in stillness. It is the act of learning how to still and focus your mind. That is what meditation is. And if you say you can't meditate, use a lie, because you meditate on the things that you are worried about for hours and days and weeks. So it's not a matter of you not being able to do it. It is a matter of incorrect, inaccurate application. So what you can do, if you are someone that struggles with meditation, you like, I'll be falling asleep. I can't. Ain't nobody told you to put on the 45-minute river sounds. And you gonna fall asleep automatically. That's too peaceful.
Darcel, I'm sorry. I just told y'all last live. I told y'all you got to do what's best for you. The river sounds there for everybody. If you need a little Gucci Man bird print 3, put that bird print 3 on. Okay.
If that's what you need, absolutely. That's not for you. It is you. It is a part of your daily spiritual practice. And if you do not have a daily spiritual practice, which is a designated time that you do every single day, I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, where you dedicate that time to your alignment with spirit. You could be pouring libations, you could be speaking with your ancestors, you could be doing your affirmations, but you need that daily spiritual practice. So that is the first thing you do. And it is through that daily spiritual practice, do you practice self, that you practice connection to spirit, that you practice the stillness of the mind. Because if you do not have that, you don't have anything. How are you going to, if you have not mastered how to listen to yourself, you have to learn, you haven't mastered how to trust yourself. And you must trust yourself in order to trust Ifa. You must trust yourself in order to trust your ancestors. You must trust yourself in order to trust God. You have to trust the spirit, self, and others. That's the trinity of trust. And you get to that through meditation. If you are struggling, there are 5-minute guided meditations. And you got 5 minutes because you spend 45 minutes watching Zeus Network. You spend 45 minutes, an hour watching them messy TV shows. Y'all binge watch Netflix. Y'all binge watch Hulu. You have the time and you have the capability. It is to do or it is to not do. And you don't want to sit with the ownership of you choosing to not elevate yourself. So make the right choice.
Darcel,
yeah.
I need you to understand that I can't stand you.
Yeah.
To understand that I can't stand you. You ain't supposed to come in here gathering these folks like this.
I have to. I'm following.
Come in here snatching them up like this. I said, y'all got the time. Y'all got the energy. You got the space. You just need to make the right choice. That means you need the discipline, huh? He said you need the discipline.
Yes.
Speaking of discipline,
Yeah.
Afro spiritual, as you are on the journey to make Ocha, right? I want you to talk about what is the discipline, right? Because if again, wellness community, always tell you got to have the discipline. Okay, y'all, I got a video I'm about to release about discipline, and I've been pushing it back. I don't know if y'all been seeing, I've been pushing the date back because in the video I feel like I'm speaking to you a little too harsh. But Darcel warmed you right up for what I'm gonna say in that video. Darcel warmed you up for what I'm gonna say. I feel like I've been on y'all head a little too harsh in that video. But Darcel, see, spirit aligned for a reason. Darcel don't warm y'all up because that discipline is real. And if you serious, the whole notion of that video is if you serious about being on the path of initiation into any ATR, you got to have some discipline. So Afro Spiritual, what has it been like enhancing your discipline, and how has your discipline impacted your journey to making Ocha?
Two things. Listening, not only to my godparents, but also to Orisha as I develop my relationship with Orisha, but also humility. Those are two things, listening and humility. Because before Orisha, being initiated officially into Orisha practice, Lucumi, when I tell you I had a temper on me, even as a Hoodoo practitioner, I had a temper. I seasoned my food heavy with my left hand, if you know what I mean. I seasoned my food heavy. Now, being initiated into Lucumi, learning to slow down, learning to listen more. When my temper starts to flare, I have to back off. I have to back off because I'm learning to walk in Iwa Pele, walk in good character. Keeping my Ori balanced, keeping my roads balanced, especially finding out who I'm marked to. Elegua will test you. Oh, he will test you so bad. And I'm one of his future children. I'm going to be tested the hardest to see if I'm worthy for the blessings of Oludumare. So I always have to have my eyes open. I always have to be measured. I always have to listen to my godparents because they've been through it. Shoot, I have one godparent who is Ultra Maid 12 years. I have another godparent who is Ultra Maid 16 years. They've been around the block. So listening to their experiences, their struggles, their trials and tribulations, and how it relates to me and what I'm going through and may potentially go through is also integral. Because Orisha, especially Elegua, or Eshu, for those who's familiar with Eshu, will humble you real quick. Everyone gets embarrassed and humbled before Elegua. Everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone gets humbled. And the moment you think you have a chip on your shoulder going like, I'm walking Orisha, you're going to get cut right back down and thrown to the floor. Humility. Listening. Being mindful. And trust me, I'm human. I still do get angry, but have to back down from it sometimes. Maintain your peace and keep it walking, keep it moving. You have bigger fish to fry. There's more important things than trying to get payback or get what you think you deserve. That's my journey with that.
I don't know if y'all caught that, but essentially what he's talking about, okay, and again, warming you up for the video, because like I said, I felt like I was talking to y'all a little too harsh in that video. That's why I've been pushing. Spirit said not today. Every day it's supposed to release. Spirit said not today, not today. I felt like I was a little too harsh because I'm saying everything that Darcel and Afro Spiritual is saying, okay? And with essentially, y'all got to have discipline. In the video, what I'm talking about is people want to identify as spiritual. I'm spiritual. But you practice in ATRs, babes. You dabbling in practice and pulling practices from ATRs. So you want to say, I'm spiritual, but then you over here wanting to do divination, shuffling tarot cards, talking about I'm doing Oshun divination. What are you doing? You over here shuffling tarot cards, talking about, oh, this is the word of Shango. What are you doing? That's what I'm talking about. So you want to work with Orisha, but then you want to identify as spiritual, and you need to stay on your spiritual ass path and leave ATRs alone, because these ATRs require discipline. And it's a level of discipline that a lot of people are not ready to adhere to. Something I talked about was how, you know, on the other app, on the TikTok, I put up the video explaining the difference between the right hand and the left hand in Hoodoo, right? The right hand and the left hand in Hoodoo. Now, what we talked about, when you're doing a cinnamon practice, you blow the cinnamon in with your right hand under traditional Hoodoo. However, Hoodoo is so open and things have changed that people are adding their own spin. They're pulling from other ATRs. One sister was like, well, I'm Santeria, and in Santeria, we use the left hand because we believe the left hand is the receiving hand. In Hoodoo, the right hand is the receiving hand. Mm-hmm. People are like, yeah, I'm doing Santeria practice, but are you initiated Santeria, babe? You over here pulling from Santeria practice, but calling it Hoodoo, and then going around teaching other people Santeria practice as Hoodoo, and they wondering why their stuff is turning out backwards and their manifestations is manifesting upside down. They praying for abundance, but they actually losing money because you done taught them a practice that they don't even have the power, the ashe, to practice. That's a problem. So this is where discipline comes in. This is where the knowing comes in. This is where the respect comes in. It's okay to be spiritual, but stay in your spiritual ass lane. Okay? Because when you start this journey, you need to have some discipline, because what Afro spiritual is talking about is you don't deserve the ashe, the power to behold and work with the Orisha when your ass still has a vengeance mindset. You over here still pressed about your ex and the next bitch he talking to, and you gonna be wanting to do some workings on them. Okay? You over here pressed about your baby mama and what she got going on, and the next dude she messing with, and you gonna want to do some workings on them. You ain't even doing what you supposed to do and focusing on you. You have a vengeance mindset. So why would Orisha want to work with you or work for you, work in alignment with you when you have a vengeance mindset? You need some discipline. You want Orisha to come keep fixing up your life and helping you get better and helping you get back on track. But the reason you keep falling off track is because your ass ain't got no discipline. Okay? So now y'all are prepped for that video. So I'm going to release it soon, huh? Because that's essentially what it's talking about. And y'all need to listen to Darcel, because he's telling you how to start your journey of discipline. Instead of saying, I don't have time to meditate. Meditation ain't for me. Have you tried different types of meditation, babes? Have you tried practicing meditation at different times a day? Have you tried to sit down and instead of turning on Zeus or turning on Netflix or turning on Hulu, have you tried to turn on something that aligns with your wellness and then boom, start meditating? Have you tried? Where's your discipline? In the wellness community, I put the breathing technique, the breath work. Have you tried to sit down and discipline and master your breath work? Have you tried to sit down and discipline and master your own personal prayers, let alone assigned or prescribed prayers? Have you mastered your own form of prayer? That's baby level of discipline. Before you get on the journey of initiation, you need baby basic level of discipline. Basic level. So when I'm saying, hey, y'all, try this breath work right here. Hey, y'all, you know, in Hoodoo, we use our right hand for receiving. And you say, oh, I'm using my left. I'm a left-handed. Left is better for me. I'm using my left. Babes, you need some discipline. Stick to that Hoodoo shit, because this ATR ain't for you. Because you can't be sitting here talking about, oh, I made this offering is for Papa Legba. This offering is for Alegba. This offering is for Elegba. This offering is for Eshu. But you supposed to have 3 or something, and you only got 2. And you saying, oh, he gonna get what he get. No, bitch, you not. You not gonna get what you want.
You better go and give them the numbers.
You can't sit here and say, "Oh, this is for Oshun. I ain't got nothing that's yellow. All I got is purple." But she gonna take this purple. No, she's not.
At all.
She's not. So that's why discipline is so important. Okay, and I can tell you a multitude of stories where people was playing with Orisha and they have no discipline, and they didn't have the discipline enough to handle their offering right. They didn't have the discipline enough to keep up with cleansing their altar. They over there letting kids play around their altar and eat the candy that's supposed to be for Eshu, and then when the kids get sick, they wondering why the kids is sick. You see what I'm saying? This is the level of discipline we talking about. It's consequences for your actions. Okay, so now y'all are prepared for the video. They say, let me tell y'all something about Darcel fan.
I will say this though. I will say this.
Go ahead,
when
Edward.
I would say this though, base level discipline, and this is for those who are the hotheads and everything. There is a thin line between vengeance and justification. Thin, thin line, and you must measure that line. Divination is so important. If you're angry about something, wanting to throw roots at someone, take a breather, take a step back, let yourself calm down. See if it will resolve itself then. Let it leave your mind for a couple of days. Come back to it, see if you're still upset. Then do some divination on it when you're calm and not in your feelings. That way you don't influence the divination.
That's where you got to separate that ego from that spiritual.
Because if it comes out saying that it is justified, okay, then do what is justified, but don't go overboard to where it goes into vengeance. Right. Then you're fucked. And simply put.
I was going to say, Darcel, I want you to expound upon that. Please expound upon the power of understanding your ego and emotion. And then, Ia, I want you to please follow Darcel up immediately. When someone understands how they feel, when someone goes through something, they understand that I'm hurt, this person hurt me, this person did me wrong, and they feel the need for vengeance, they feel the need for justification. In alignment with Orisha, in alignment with Ifa, in alignment with Olodumare, how do you feel about justification? So I want you to think on that as Darcel talks about unpacking the ego and understanding emotion.
Yeah, well, let's also be very clear here. This is why I stress the self-work, because it is through the self-work do you understand accountability. Do you understand how to first look at self? And let's see, okay, this person cheated on me. He cheated on me, right? So I'm pissed. I want to get back at him, but wait a minute. I was the person he was cheating with in the last relationship. You got to take accountability. You got to take accountability. This person cheated on me. Oh, but I knew and I saw these red flags and these signs at the beginning. So that's why I say, as much as y'all see these lemons being cut all on TikTok, these people ruining these good old fruits and hexing people, the justification, listen, 98% of it is not justified because they have not aligned with self. And when you align with self and you understand, you get disciplined in how to take care of yourself, you understand that law of correspondence. My internal environment is projecting to my external environment. So because it's projecting to my external environment, what in me is calling out to these type of people? Because these types of people, there's only one thing in common, and it's you. And I will come around back to when we talk in Christianity, those of you who had the Christian experience, you understand this statement: the devil is busy. That old devil is on me. The devil is tearing me up. But it's only the devil until you find out that it was working out for your good. So at what point was it the devil? Was it ever the devil, or was it the devil when you didn't know how to be patient? Was it the devil when you didn't know how to trust? Was it really the devil? No, that is called being out of alignment and out of balance. So yes, things hurt you. Yes, there's some messed up people out here in these streets. Yes, there's some terrible things that happen, but it will profit you to look for the lesson as opposed to looking for your way to react. Because when you are focusing on the reaction, you don't develop a response. And there is a difference.
Come on now.
That's my baby. You better come through, baby.
Most things would take care of itself if you just leave it alone and focus on yourself and your own veneration.
That karma gonna spin the block.
You don't have to lift a hand. The spirits would take care of it.
For you, Ia, when we talk about justice and alignment with Ifa, right? How does Ifa handle justice or vengeance, someone will call it? First off, how do you differentiate? Are you feeling vengeance or is this justice? And how does Ifa handle justice?
Sometimes it's a little bit of both, honestly. Sometimes it's vengeance and justice, but you have to realize that Ifa, as far as people using Ifa to get back at people, It's not going to happen in the way that you think, and it doesn't work that way. The justice comes through what Ifa believes is righteous as it pertains to that person's life and their path. So I hope that makes sense. So you can, when we tell you that the first thing you need to do in any practice is to protect yourself, when you go to Ifa, that's what Ifa is going to do. Ifa is going to address you on an independent basis. And the repercussions of that independent basis of that protection of you is what happens to all the other people that did something to you. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily, I'm just going to handle you because you did this. Ifa is going to protect you because you came to Ifa for protection. And what happens after that to those people, that's on them. So how that is handled in the balance of the energies, that has nothing to do saying specifically for Ifa. You can't go to Ifa and be like, you just gonna get these people. Just it doesn't work that way. Remember, it starts with you and protection first. So Ifa will protect you, and then what happens to them, it happens to them.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, like understanding, y'all. So and thank you, Royal Goddess. Royal Goddess said, like you said, Queen Poe, he did you wrong. Not everyone you ever met. And when I did my video on karma, this is what I was talking about. Understanding that we don't do vengeance work. You don't do work to hurt and harm someone, because if you truly, truly, truly understand how energy works, that energy you put out is going to come back to you. Yep. So when you put out the energy of vengeance and the energy of hurting someone and harming someone, y'all, that's going to come back to you. Okay? You have to allow karma to have its way, and it may not happen when you want it. It may not happen how you want it. It may not show up the way you think it's supposed to show up, but it's going to happen. But you have to keep in mind that just because they did you wrong don't mean they do everybody wrong. Just because they hurt you doesn't mean they hurt everybody. Just because they was wrong that time don't mean they wrong all the time. So the energy they get back is going to be a combination of all of the energy they put out. Yeah, they're going to feel that energy, but they also going to feel other energy as well. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. When people, because that's another DM I'm sure most of us commonly get is, oh, what can I do? I feel like someone did something to me. I want to undo it. And how can I do something to them? Or I want to, another famous one, y'all, because this is a term that's being used a lot right now. A return to sender. I want to do a return to sender. Let me do a return to sender. How can I do some return to sender work? And let me tell you something. Okay. You just got to know that whatever they do to you is going to be done to them. What Silly said? The jail you set for me is the one you are going to rot in. Everything you done to me already been done to you. Okay, so you have to understand that. It's already returned. You don't got to do no return to sender work because it's already returned. Just trust that process. Now, I just want to say, because the questions are going to start coming up, y'all be patient, but we got to wrap this up because I done told them that we was only going to be here for an hour, y'all. And I know that, it's a lot happening. It's a lot going on. I know it's a lot of information. EI is a wealth of knowledge. So before we get into them talking about how you can reach out to everybody individually, we're going to open up the space for Q&A. If you have specific questions, if it could be for a specific person or it could be for the collective, please specify. So you could say Afro Spiritual and ask your question. Ia, ask your question. Darcel, ask your question. Queen Poe, ask your question. Or if you want all of us to chime in, you could say collective for the collective. Okay, so this is the time to start asking your questions. As they put in the questions in the chat, everybody, can y'all please state how to reach you personally in the services you offer? Because I know some questions y'all are going to say, because we already know the type of questions that's going to come. I know some questions y'all are going to say, you need to reach out to me one-to-one. Okay, I know y'all going to say that. And please listen, everybody, before y'all get in the chat, don't you get on my damn nerves. I'm going to put that contact in the description, huh? I'm going to put that contact in the description. So if you don't catch the contact right now, you're going to catch it in the description. Okay? Okay.
Oh goodness.
Starting with Ia. If the people want to reach out to you for personal one-to-one, how do you advise they reach you and what services do you offer? Go ahead on. Go ahead on.
Can you read what I changed my name to? Let's go.
They can't read it. They can't see it on the YouTube.
ChandraSharice.com.
Oh,
So
never
go
mind.
to my name.
They can't see it. They can't see
They
it. Go
can't
ahead.
see it. Okay. ChandraSharice.com is how to reach out to me. Otherwise, follow me on IG and send me a message. I don't always give out my email because I don't want the spam from it. And somebody added me to a list recently for me being nice on TikTok. So when you reach out to me that way, I can better tell you how to direct you. Not everything that I tell you or teach you is going to cost you. So let me tell you, and let me also be clear. This is what I do. I do business strategy. I lead people to Ifa. Didn't think I was going to be doing that, but I do. And I carry out divinations and ebos. So that's my job. I also own a travel company that I've had since 2013, and I have government certifications. So Chandra Sharice is a whole thing, okay? You can find me everywhere, LinkedIn, whatever. And I have Ianifa on my resume. Yes, I do. So I live and walk in this stuff. This isn't just something that's on the side, okay? There is no other external activity going on here. This is my 9 to 5, my 365. Okay. So let me just be clear. I will do the best to answer you freely, but if you ask me something that you think you're going to get for the free 99, I'm going to send you straight to the consultation link. So think about it ahead of time. And then lastly, I'm doing a class talking about divinations and ebos for free on YouTube on Saturday. And it will be at 7 p.m. Eastern. So subscribe to my channel, get it in. And we got some people that received their first ones that I'm going to interview at the end after I teach you what the difference is. So y'all can stop looking at these people with tarot cards telling you they're doing a divination and they're telling you a div a lie. All right. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah. We should have. I should. We probably gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that quickly. You know, I want to talk about divination. Yeah, I want to talk about it. Okay. I don't put myself back on mute.
You put yourself on mute.
Afro Spiritual, how can the people reach you? Did you change your contact? How can the people reach you?
No, you can reach out to me on my Instagram at everything's lowercase afro_spiritual. And on my Instagram, I have a Calendly linked to my services. What I do consultations, like simple, energetic check-ins, or if you're looking for spiritual work, I do educational sessions. I even have Hoodoo Bible study if you want to learn how to be able to read scripture and apply it to Hoodoo practice in your root work effectively. Okay. But my main thing is the healing and helping you understand ancestral conditions and traumas so you can begin working with your ancestors, not just venerating, working with your ancestors to clear things up and have a healing effect on your ancestral line and also generations to come. Okay. That's what I specialize in. I am expanding on my services and everything, but for right now, that's what I do. So you can find me on my Instagram. My Calendly is linked on my Instagram, or you can message me privately if you have simple, basic questions. But like how Ia does, if your question is too long or too out there, I'm going to direct you to them services. Because honey, if I have to tap into your whole spirit and then some just to understand what's going on, you're getting the service. You flat out getting the service. That's simply it, point blank simple.
Awesome. Well, for me, everywhere at Darcel Andre. On TikTok, Darcel Andre. On IG, Darcel Andre. On YouTube, Darcel Andre. And also in the link, when you go to my TikTok or you go to my Instagram, I have my link tree in the bio. So you're able to click that and purchase my products. I have a lot of conjure oils, spelled oils available. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Let me just.
Yes, commercial, please.
Yes, I'm
Please.
here. I have my moonlight oil here, which is for dreams, enhancing your dreams and prophetic dreams. So I have those products available. But I also, as far as services are concerned, I do, I'm a psychic seer, claircognizant, clairvoyant, and clairsentient. And so I do readings as well as spiritual coaching. And I, have always referred to myself as the great interrupter. So my job here is to step in, interrupt this thought process that has been tearing you up, and get you where it is you need to be. That's it.
Goodness.
I'm slowing the questions down, Queen. I slowed them
Okay,
down.
no, I have them stopped over here on my phone. I have them stopped where we're going to start. First off, I don't know if any of my moderators is gone, but I don't know who is in here talking about can they tap into somebody's spirit. Jax, can I make you a moderator, please? I'm about to make you a moderator, Jax, because I think my moderator's done tapped out.
I am flattered, but no.
Yeah, we don't tolerate no type of soliciting. And Jax, you a moderator now?
Jax is A1. Jax is a part of the Inner Lighthouse.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jax.
He's got top-notch security, so Jax is the perfect moderator.
Thank you. Jax, get them on up out of here, okay? Goodness. We don't tolerate no foolishness, no soliciting in the chat, okay? They done slip back.
I did forget to mention, you can also find me on TikTok as well at Afro_spiritual as well. I forgot about that.
These are some really good questions.
Yes, they have some good questions. So first we're going to start out, okay, with Lucia. I don't know if y'all saw Lucia question about 10 times. Lucia said, do y'all still go to church? Okay, now I think that question is important. I don't know if Lucia is an evangelist and you're trying to convert us, huh? But I think that question is important because some people think that you cannot be Christian or believe in Christianity or practice Christianity when you are on this journey. So answering that question, talking about going to church, do you still go to church Afro Spiritual?
I do every now and again to honor my ancestors, my family. I do every now and again. And when sitting in church, I open myself up, and whoever wants to come down and mount and experience church through me, that's what I do, and that's what I allow. It's not for me, it's for my ancestors who wants to sit and be with me in that moment.
Okay. Darcel, do you still go to church?
No, I don't go to church anymore. I learned a while ago, even before I got into this, that the church is the people. So your church, your altar space is also in your home. Your connection with the spirit is 24/7, not just within a construct, of a building or a particular service. And to the point or to the conversation of, how can you still be spiritual or hoodoo or do root workings and things and still go to church? Well, the founder of the Kojic Church, the Church of God in Christ, Bishop C.H. Mason, was a hoodoo practitioner. So just want to put that out there. And the founder. Okay.
Yeah, do you go to church?
Only when invited.
Same.
Invited.
Yeah, if I don't turn down anyone if they're like, you need to come. And then I have people who are whole pastors over mega churches and stuff in my family. So if they invite me to go, then yes, I go when invited.
Same.
But there was a question right before that too, by the way.
Okay, I go when I'm invited. I go if I feel led. That's when I'll go to church. But I always, I listen to gospel music on a regular basis. All that good stuff. I ain't about to explain all that shit right now. Okay,
and don't think because I do a practice for a long time, i.e., I fronted one thing but was still doing the other. And many of the people that you deal with that are mothers in the church and stuff now still do that to this day. But let me just say, don't think that because we don't, that means that you don't. If that's where you get your community and you look at church for what it is, because what it was originally for in the community outside of colonization and making you, let me pause before I go down that road. outside of colonization, what it originally became for, especially in the community of people of color, is that was your community center. That was your help. That was where your counselor was. Some of the time, that was where you could only get your meals from. Right. So that became your family. That's your social circle. That's how you met your mate because you went to church. It was like going to the club, but you went, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. So don't think that that community can't exist within you and you can't still do those things. But at some point within your seeking truth and knowledge, you will make a decision. It's inevitable. It will happen. And you will decide what is best for you. But we have whole Yanifas that are whole pastors over churches.
And remember I told y'all earlier when, my mother was in her Christian journey, we was at their church and we found out that they was actually fully initiated and practicing voodoo. Okay. And it was a whole thing, but hello. Okay. So the question that was right before that I referenced, hold on one second. Somebody said, do you have to know all this stuff before finding a house or godparent?
No, not at all. You don't have to know Jack. There's some people that initiate and become the title of Baba, but not the whole spiritual responsibility aspect of Baba or Ianifa. And the reason for that is just because they needed to initiate to have some sort of balance in their life. That does not mean that they know all the things. That doesn't mean that they practice all the things. They just had this done because that's what was told needed to be done to help them out. And then they go about their business. They do their appeasement for themselves that they need to do. They do their prayers for themselves. They're not out here in the forefront. And they don't know Jack. They came and got a divination and it said, hey, you need to do this. And they're like, oh my gosh, I want to survive. And then they do it. You know what I'm saying? So no, don't think that. You don't at all.
Oh, okay. I agree with that as well.
It's a little different for Lucumi from what I observed, but it's still relatively the same. It really is. You don't have to know anything. First, you're a Leo, someone who's on the outside of practice. You get initiated. Boom, you're an Orisha. You're an Orisha for a long time until you are able to do Ocha and you are learning, you're growing, this and that. You see a couple of ceremonies, you help with a couple of ceremonies. And then when you're able to do Ocha, okay, you're a Yawo. You're doing your Yabarahe, but you are a Olarisha. Olarisha plural, doesn't matter if it's male or female, in general Olarisha. Then you have Babalosha, Ialosha, which is, male or female still. After some time, after you learn enough and you feel confident, you could take on godchildren. But for a while, there's going to be some hand holding until you get it down packed. So it's a little different. Still same thing, but difference. This is from Lucumi's perspective.
Yes, because we don't do godchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do teacher,
so
student, teacher,
somebody asked
mama.
that question as well. They said, can Queen Poe, can you take me or are you taking godchildren? I am not taking any godchildren. Okay. I'm not taking any godchildren. I do teach and I do mentor. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/the Queen Poe. We have a Zoom meeting on Saturday. Okay. Zoom meeting on Saturday. Now, next question I want to get to, somebody asked about archangels. Okay. Yep. Do you want to answer that question or do you want me to answer it? I feel like that's kind of like I feel like your knowledge is above that pay grade. Okay.
Well, thank you. It goes into what she was saying. We don't call the people that we teach and work with, we don't call them godchildren in Ifa. So when she said she's not taking on godchildren, because that's commonly known to everyone else to say godchildren, but that's not what we say. So it's a student-teacher relationship. And then I have some that became mine and I didn't ask them to. They just said, this is what it is, you my teacher. Listen, so that's what happened. But yeah, Darcel's a prime example of that. So to answer your question, do we believe that angels or archangels exist? Yes, energies exist outside of the construct of the Arumile system that we know as Ifa, and that is why we talk about different energies in that way. So yes, they do, period.
Okay, that's it. Now somebody else asked about they said the next question, Ia specifically, What are your beliefs on twin flames? How do you feel about twin flames?
So didn't we talk about this? Did I talk about twin flames or soulmates? It must have been soulmates, right? I have a whole video on my TikTok about soulmates, and that's gonna blow some people's mind. Some people left, I think I even put it here as a short if you wanted to see that. So twin flames, I went down that whole hole too when I was on my spiritual journey, when I was talking to Edgar Casey and them, you know what I'm saying? And I understand people write many, many, many books on it. And I'm going to tell you this, and it's probably going to blow your mind. But between soulmates and twin flames, the belief that there is one that is a part of you only exists in Ibeji for me. So,
explain Ibeji.
Ibeji, I know twins, children that are twins or multiples. So that is Ibeji. So, I know people are obsessed with that, but you will find when you come to Ifa and you ask Ifa about different mates for yourself, Ifa will give you answers as it relates to who will align with your journey as it is right now. And sometimes that answer doesn't always say that it's one person. So that's how I answer that question.
Yeah, that's the perfect response, because if you're in the wellness community, you know, in the group chat, I talked about this a while ago, where, you know, sometimes you are aligned with different people for different reasons at different times, sometimes the same time, so on and so forth. Okay, so that twin flame talk, that's more like it's a lot of things, y'all, that's like new age, different beliefs, different practices, and things like that. So when I talk about, you know, when I be like, y'all, I don't necessarily, it's no shade, but like people talk about, oh, yeah, this is not a question that anybody probably asked, but can you please talk about this? Y'all, when I talk about, like, I don't believe in, that's to me new age, the idea of burning ancestor money. Have you heard about this, EI?
My gosh, there's that girl. Listen, let me get myself. There's a girl who says she practices Ifa who was doing that 90-day doggone fiance. And I know some of y'all know what I'm talking about. What is it? The one on the island, something on the island. And the child was burning ancestor money and talking crazy. First off, she wouldn't have been crying her ass so much about whether she should be with this dude, because she would have checked her ass with the farm. That was the first thing that pissed me off. Secondly, like, they wouldn't have been crying. She would have had the answer. Secondly, burning ancestor money is not an African or ATR practice. It just is not. It is one that became Asian in nature and then became Latin in some aspects. But it is definitely not an African tradition. We don't burn no money over here. Now, if you want to put on your ancestor table some cowrie shells or something that you believe that was used for exchange of anything, money, whatever, back in the day, because you want to do that, then go do that, boo. But burning money and shit.
Yeah, you don't understand. Like, and this is why I say, y'all, something what made me fall in love with Ifa Chandra is how patient and how kind and how sweet she is. Because the way Queen Poe mine works, the way I work, y'all, is I be trying to be nice, and I just don't speak on certain shit, and I just don't say certain things because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, and I know if I say it, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. But y'all, we don't do that.
We don't do
that. That's not us. That's not African. The idea of ancestor money, and I don't care who's telling y'all that, it's not us. Okay, I'm sorry to hurt your feelings.
And I don't know why you keep buying it. And then, you know, the people on Amazon making some coins, and the Etsy people, they're making some coins off of y'all for no reason.
Yeah, okay, I'll just rip off the Band-Aid.
Here's a real common sense question. I just want you to think about this for a minute. If everything we do when you are starting off in your journey and you're told to burn a candle for this, right? And pray over this and burn something for this. And then you're told that if you want to get rid of negative things in your life, write it down and then burn it. You see what I'm saying? So then if you're going to burn something, why would you burn money? You trying to make money, boo. Why are you burning it? I need y'all to make that make sense. That's why it doesn't make any sense. You going to do it to the ether? Do you know why we give food as offering? Yes, we know they can't taste it. Come on, we're not that slow. We do it because of the energy and intention behind it. That is what it is. We know it was their favorite thing, so that we offer them this food. Okay? But guaranteed, you pour some gin, that shit will disappear in a couple of days, and you wondering how, because alcohol doesn't evaporate, boo.
Exactly.
Pure alcohol doesn't evaporate. So ask yourself about that. But yet you want money in your life and you're going to burn a representation of money. But when you want to get rid of negative things in your life, what do? Burn it. When you get mad at somebody and you're like, I'm going to burn your shit, you go burn it. Why would you burn money? Okay.
Practical application. And when it comes to the work in which you're doing, AKA common sense. Just saying.
Use your common sense. And that be the part, like I said, because something I always say, I'm not trying to knock nobody hustle. And some folks is getting hustled. And I'm not trying to knock nobody hustle because it's a lesson in you getting hustled. So I don't want to knock they hustle, but y'all, you ain't gonna hear me tell you to burn no ancestor money. To me, that's just wild. And thank you, Ia, for expounding upon that, because you said it so much nicer than I could ever say. Okay, but next question, because the questions is coming in. Next question, Malia said, as a collective, what do you say to Christian people who try to promote Jesus and try to tell you about the word of God when you are practicing ATR? Basically, what do you say to people who try to evangelize to you?
I do it on the live all the time. I tell them, don't come over here with that, because you can't push somebody to get to a practice that you believe is supposed to bring peace if you're pushing hate and forcing people to do it. So why are you going to come over here and judge other people and what it is that they believe? I don't even judge the people who are atheists that come on and talk, because atheists still meets Ifa where they are. Like Ifa atheist, science. So you believe in yourself. Good. That's your Ori, right? You need the science and the energy of what we do in the Ebo, i.e. the prescription for the issue in your life. You need those things to balance out what you believe in. So if you believe in quantum physics, right? And that's what you believe in, but you don't believe in a higher source, fine, that's what it is. If you come over here to get help, you come over to get help. So when you come into lives and you perpetuate what it is that you want people to believe, those people that push the hardest don't have shit going on in their own life. That's why they push the hardest. Truth be told. And then they end up pushing people away. So the best way to have people come to where you are when you're perpetuating your Abrahamic practice is to meet them where they are. When you respect someone, they respect you back. But they always come with all the disrespect because they don't have anything else going on in their own life, and that's what they got. And they do it on a screen because they can't do it anywhere else, because in their personal life, they don't got shit going on. I'm done.
That's absolutely it. I was going to say it really depends, because sometimes people really do believe that they are doing what is the right thing to do. Yep. They are grandmothers, aunts. I have an aunt right now who, Lord have mercy, she like think that the devil has me in a chokehold right now. So some people really do think that. So I tend to be like, okay, thank you for that, and go on. But now the ones that come to disrespect, I'm forced to go to the facts. And those who follow me know I always say the car facts. And the reality is, if I start laying out these car facts, if I start telling you that in the year 325 at the Council of Nicaea, Constantine had kidnapped Druid priests who are from the Celtics, and they worship someone named Esus, E-S-U-S, with a mother named Mayence, M-A-Y-E-N-C-E, and a father named Gut, G-U-D-T. And then it is at that council that they say that the name of the Savior is going to be Jesus Christo. And now we're going to add the letter J in and make it Jesus Christ, Jesus the Christ, to make it masculine. And then you mad at me? Start laying out the facts. To each their own. If it worked for you, keep doing it. But you must not, and this also goes for us over here on the ATR spiritual practice side. Don't be trying to run people down here, hit them upside the head with ox and coconuts and trying to tell people and force them, because it don't work when they do it to you. And so it's not going to work if you do it to them.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot, I be doing the same thing in my lives. People coming up in there going like, oh, Jesus will save you. Baby, what makes you think I'm not already saved? I'm saved in my own way. Thank you very much.
I'm whole baptized, Afro. Exactly. So I tell them, I'm going to meet you where you are based on your own principle. I'm going to see you ass at the pearly gate. as
Come
I
on.
practice
Exactly.
Ifa.
You know, that's when I gotta pull the PK card. I'd be like, my mama was a preacher. I'm a preacher's kid. PK here.
Exactly.
Who you talking to? Okay.
Right.
Exactly. I
So
mean, it's
you
similar
forgave
to
my sins, right?
I'm
Okay. So
baptized twice.
it's
I'm
similar
gonna
to
see you
Darcel.
twice.
I have a grandmother, my grandmother on my daddy's side and everything. She's always praying for me because she thinks that the devil has me in a chokehold. I actually had to confront her last year, going like, Grandma, I understand you mean well, but you need to stop praying for me. She's like, I'm just trying to help, but your prayers is crossing me up. And the last thing I'm going to do is defend myself against my own family. Your prayers is not helping. Keep them to yourself.
Oh, listen, can I just tap on that? Y'all have to understand, prayers is no different than your spell work. You have taken an intention, a will that is of your own and not of the person's, and you are trying to force that in prayer with the power of the tongue, with your oil that is blessed and holy, it's spelled, it's worked over, oil, and you are trying to pray your intention and your will on somebody else. That is witchcraft in the sense that you mean it by.
A whole incantation.
Exactly what that is. And I have had literally, I had a relative, one of the relatives that I'm talking about. I was sitting up here on a live and I had an energy hit me. I felt it. And I had to pause the live. I said, hold on just a minute. Let me get here and shake my rocks, blow my smoke up in here and do what I need to do. Come to find out, a sibling of mine, while I was on here, maybe at 30 minutes before I felt that, had got off the phone with this relative who was talking about them praying for me and that they were getting ready to pray for me. No. He was praying at me.
There's someone that asked about initiation.
I was going to get on the track of that because it's been a couple questions directed to you, and y'all, the chat is going so fast. I appreciate the love is going so fast, y'all. It's happening quickly. Okay, we appreciate the love. We're trying to grab the questions, y'all. This is to the collective. Okay, Afro Spiritual Darcel, Ifa. If there's a question that catches your attention in the chat, please screenshot it or save it some way. Because if you really feel called to answer that, please, because I don't want to keep y'all here all night. There's an abundance. But specifically to you, someone asked, number one, how do they know if they are being called to Ifa? Specifically, Ifa, Isheshe. We talked about this versus other paths. How do they know if Ifa is calling them? Number one. Number two, if they feel that they are truly being called to Ifa, how do they start or begin the path of initiation?
Okay, first question answered. You asked the question, therefore you are called. The end. There's no big answer to that. You asked the question, therefore you're being called. You have an interest, therefore you're being called. When we all go looking for the truth, we find the truth that resonates with us, and you asked. The second question, initiation. It was, how do you find out if you're called to initiation? Is that what it was?
So you already answered the how do you know if you are being called? If they ask, they're being called. If you've already been aligned with the path, you're being called.
Yes.
So once they feel that they have been called, where do they start?
Funny. And that's why you smiled when you said it. So I'm taking a group in June 2023 to go be initiated. And that is because of somebody from Darcel's Doggone Live. How about that? Because I wasn't going to do it. I said, no, I'm not doing this. Then I called my Alu, my teacher, okay, the person I report to, who does the divination stuff. Darcel got to meet briefly today. So who does the divinations and things, and you will see the Ebas or whatever. So we had a whole conversation, and he said, if you're being asked, you should consider it. And then I said, no. He said, oh, okay. Then I came back a couple of days. He always says, oh, okay. Then I came back a couple of days later. So I'm doing one June 2023, and I'm doing another one June 2024. So that's out there already. And if you're interested, there is a link on my website that you can go to sign up to get the information about it, because I'll be taking deposits soon. And then that's that. So that's how you do that. That's if you want to go the full on route. Now, there are other routes which
hold
makes
on 1 second. Yeah, before you go to the other routes, I want to ask some clarifying questions because I know they're gonna come. The clarifying questions about June, right? So just to be clear, Ia said, if you missed it, she said June 2023, she's taking a group to Nigeria for initiation.
Yes.
Okay. Now you said that they could contact you, they could go to your website, start making deposits. What's the total price or total cost of that whole?
It's $6,000 for initiation right now.
And does that include flight, hotel?
That doesn't include flight, external flight. That does include stay. Then it does include some meals, and that includes visiting some historical landmarks as it pertains to Isheshe. And that also includes your full initiation, which takes days and has, as you know, many, many people involved. Many, many people. So that's me just touching on that lightly. So right now, that is what the going price is.
And I know you can only touch on it lightly. But some people may say, wow, 6,000, not including flight. Why so expensive? Can you lightly graze upon why the price or the cost of initiation is what it is?
Sure. And me saying that it includes stay and everything else, and that includes your transportation as well, is a big deal, because most of the time it doesn't include that when you're coming to different places at all. So let me just say, we all think an initiation is no different than when you go within a church and you have levels to how you elevate or learn. You're a deacon, right? Then you move up from there. So let me clarify that. And there's no hazing involved, according to someone who asked a question thinking it was like pledging Greek last night. It's not like that at all. The people come from all over, and I'm just generalizing people because I'm trying to tell you as much as I can without telling you everything. People come from all over. Those people then have materials as well from all over. The process itself, everything that we do, even when someone passes and becomes an Egungun, it's a celebration. There are tents pitched, there's music playing, there's percussionists, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to explain this. It is a long celebration that takes time and takes hours. And the people that are with you in that process travel near and far to be there. And it's not like a little bit. We're talking about 25, 50 or more people on some days, sometimes more than that. And those people are not only high within the tradition themselves, like they're considered elders to the elders. Some of them are teachers from all over, and they speak life into you and take their time, and they're with you day and night as you go through this process. So don't think that it's just something that, oh, you just pay and you show up and you wear your little white and you leave. It's not that. It's a whole production, okay? And it is 24/7. It's not just part of the time. So there are things that you will learn, that you will engage in, and that price covers the materials and sometimes the time of those people, depending on how far and wide they're coming from. And that's what it is. I hope that answers the question.
That answered the question perfectly. Yeah, I think people need to understand that, as Sazon stated, I didn't even know Jason Perez was Sazon. Hey, Sazon, I'm gonna make you a moderator, okay, when I finish saying this. This is the thing, Sazon is a powerhouse in the wellness community, okay? Very, very much a powerhouse, and he is in a similar path of Afro spiritual, where I understand Sazon is on the journey of making Ocha. But this is the thing, right? We're understanding Ifa Isheshe. What Ia is offering, 6,000 to include initiation. She just broke down some aspects of why it is that price. And that is a very, very reasonable price to go to Nigeria for initiation. That's a very reasonable price to go to the continent and be initiated. And as she said, y'all, this is not one ceremony. I spoke on this before where I said, y'all, these are ceremonies. Okay, these are days. It's not just one ceremony with somebody going blow some water on you and you initiate it. These processes, there are an abundance of people who will come from all over. And there will be a variety of things that you will experience within these days. So your 6,000 is not just covering your stay in some of your meals and things like that. It's covering all of the tools that will be used over these days as a process. And of course, some of those things you can't speak on, but there's a lot of things that you have to be purchased and bought. You know, y'all, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Is.
So this is the price. Now, you was about to move on and speak on some other paths or other forms dealing with initiation. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, for those people who are interested in having their telephone line connected, that's how I'll say it, they can receive Isha Ifa, which is the hand of Ifa. That can be done remotely, and that's it.
So you can receive your hand of Ifa. Okay, we talked about this a little bit in the chat, and see y'all, in the Oneness Community group chat, y'all. This is why I said, this live is long, y'all. We gonna have to do a part two because there's so many. Because I did not want to ask about the hand of Kofa and your opinion on the hand of Kofa, but we don't have time for that. Okay, we don't have time to talk about the, ATR politics and men and women and all of that stuff. So moving on, okay, receiving hand of Ifa can be done remotely. Is there anything else that anyone can do right now to begin the process of initiation if they don't have the finances or have, whatever else it takes?
Yeah, they can. Well, I would say study, but I'm still going to take you back to your ancestors. When you learn how to deal with them, it'll be easier for you to deal with the other energies. And if you so receive the icons of those energies, you can do that as well. You can receive the icon of various energies without having initiation. So that can happen over here as well. And those things can be done remotely for some of them as well. So it's possible you could do that.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to let you breathe for a second. Afro Spiritual or Darcel, are there any other questions? Are there any questions that caught your eye that you like, I want to speak on this right now? Has there been any questions? Because I got a couple that people do want to ask y'all specifically, but is there any question that you like, oh, I got to speak on this right now?
I have lost my place. I'm going to need a second.
Okay.
Right.
Well, can I throw a question to you, please?
Yes.
Okay. Afro Spiritual, someone asked specifically of you dealing in hoodoo. How do you feel about hoodoo being called a religion? Do you believe it's a religion, or is it a practice? Is it a way of life? And who do you feel like hoodoo is for?
Okay. Ooh, that is a loaded one. Okay. Historically, hoodoo is not a religion, but it is a spiritual way and cultural practice of a people who went through slavery and oppression in the United States South the United States South of North America. Strictly, it is a way of doing for we to be able to hold on to our African ways through the trauma that we went through here on US soil. So it's not a religion, it is a way of doing, living, and surviving. It is a cultural practice. So who is it for? Being a cultural practice. Now people will ask, well, it's not a religion, so how is it closed? It's closed by culture. It's closed by the experience of a people, of what we endured, what we grew into, and also what we used to be able to survive. And now, in ways, we celebrate and also still healing from all in one. So if you're melanated and descend from enslaved Africans of US soil, honey, you already initiated. You're already in it. What your ancestors went through already makes you a part of it. Hoodoo is also part of Black culture. You cannot have Black culture without hoodoo practice. You cannot. You cannot separate the culture from the practice. Most people grow up with it up under their nose, not even knowing what it is. Because what? We don't call it hoodoo in most families. We call it work, spiritual work, roots, working. Shoot, my family likes to use God's work here on earth
Look.
So that's who it's for.
Excellent.
It's for the people.
Excellent response. Excellent response, y'all. That's essentially what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a combination. It's a combination, and the key is, you know, yeah. As Darcella is speaking, I'm gonna ask Darcella a question. I want you to think on this and share how you feel about this, y'all. With Hoodoo and most other African diaspora traditional religions, it all goes back to the continent. The roots, the beginning, all starts there. Okay. So when we speak about Ifa, when we speak about understanding Ifa and all that goes into it, something I'm realizing is that a lot of people are only learning the branches of the tree and they're not studying the roots of the tree. So yeah, I'm gonna just leave that right there. And after, you know, Darcel goes, please expound upon the value of studying the roots of the tree. Even if you feel called to the branches, study the roots. But Darcel, what I want to talk to you about, because somebody said that they are feeling like they don't know where to start. They're feeling like this is all too much. Where do I start? I feel like what you are excellent in, especially in this space of teaching, is speaking to the people who are fresh, who are new, and they are trying to start. They done been through some things. They done been through some trauma, and they just, what do I do? How do I start? I feel the call. I want to begin. How do I start? What would you tell them? What are some advice, some recommendations? Read, watch, whatever.
Yes. So as I said, stillness is absolutely everything. It is developing your spiritual practice, y'all. And what that is, this is not talking about Orisha. This is not talking about hopping into voodoo. This is not talking about any of that. It is that, first of all, you got to understand, and I keep harping on this self thing. I saw a comment too about, well, I'm restless. I can't focus. I don't know how to center myself. The reason it is called a practice is because it's something you have to work at. You have to work at. So like I said, it's very simple. 5 minutes, 4 minutes. They have 1 minute meditations, guided meditations, where you sit down, you lay down, you listen to it. You can also, one way, there's a book by Iyanla Vanzant, who is a priestess of Obatala.
Yes, she is.
And she has a book called Until Today. And they're daily devotionals. If you're not a person that can meditate, you can get that book and you can read what that devotional is for that day. It's not long. It ain't 620 pages. It's one thing. But the point is that you have to start with self, because you have to recognize that you are important first. You have to recognize that you are part of the whole. And if you are trying to jump to the whole thing and skip self, you're always going to run into circumstances where you get lost, you feel overwhelmed, because you haven't mastered how to control yourself first. Some of y'all be talking about, with especially when it comes to those of us that have intuitive abilities. One, you be acting like you want these people to manifest and show up in real time. No, you do not. No, you do not. No, you do not.
That's the truth.
You are not even in a space to be able to handle that. So I would say start there. Start with that daily practice. The point of the spiritual practice is to dedicate a time, because a lot of us who are led here to the spiritual practice, especially by way of trauma, have low self-worth, low self-esteem. Self-worth has to do not with how you see yourself only, but what you expect to get from other people. So you overgive, you overcommit, and you overexcuse people's bad behavior. So with your spiritual practice, you are reworking that by saying, you know what, for this 10 minutes, this 5 minutes every day, this is dedicated to me and my alignment and my betterment of self. And when you get into that place, your energy, your ori, your mind, everything starts to say, okay, so now we're getting it together. Now the focus is real. So now we can start sending out the frequencies of the teachers. Now we can start, because I'm sure y'all seen this with the numbers, the synchronicities. Now we can start bringing that in, and your Ori will guide you. If you don't know what to do, that's because you're supposed to be figuring out how to be. Meditate. Meditate.
Meditate on it.
I want to add on that real quick. Basically, just giving out a little daily practice. It's so simple. When you get up in the morning and you're getting yourself ready, you're in the mirror. You might be, if you're touching your head, oiling your hair, getting your hair ready, honey, talk to your Ori. That's all you do. Speak life into it. Speak life into it. That's all you do. Ask for blessing, ask for alignment, ask your body what your Ori is in heaven here on earth. Pray for stability, pray for protection, pray for prosperity and abundance, pray for expansion of your spirit. Do it. It's so simple, and it takes literally nothing but a minute every single morning when you wake up.
Absolutely. Y'all know we talk about that, making sure that you are, if you go back to my video on self-esteem and how to enhance your self-esteem and enhance your self-awareness, you know, how to recover and heal from low self-esteem. Go back to that video. If you struggle with low self-esteem, low self-awareness, low self-value, go back to my video. That was a couple years ago, about the power of speaking life into your being as you are putting lotion on, as you are showering.
Yeah.
Speak life into yourself. When you showering, you cleansing your body down, you putting that soap on you, release that energy. Tell that energy it does not belong on you. Cast it out. As they used to say, you got to cast that energy out. You know, so these are things you could do in daily practice. So as Darcel said earlier, that idea that I don't have time, in your daily practice, when you are putting your lotion on, that's affirmation time, babe. That's affirmation time. When you taking your shower and you washing your body, that's purification time. That's spiritual release time. Okay, when you oiling your hair, that's Ori time. Okay, speaking to that crown. When you eating your food, okay, you pouring into your body, pouring into your wellness. So everyday practices that you have, it is time. When you eat, shower, put lotion on, get dressed, pick up some keys, walk out the door, all of that is time. You just got to be intentional. It's about where's your focus? Where's your consciousness? Are you conscious? Are you aware of what's happening? Read The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. That's the power of the Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. Okay, he talks about these things, how when you washing the dishes, be intentional. When you eating your food, be intentional. Okay, The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. I said it 3 times already.
Get it right. And can I say before we go to Ia real quick, for those of us who are very interested in astrology, that is a very wonderful tool for you to understand what things work well with you universally. So if you know your natal chart, your birth chart, you can find it Astro Cafe. You need to know your birth time. You need to know where you were born, and hopefully you know the year and your birthday. Okay, you got to know that information. What it will tell you is where exactly, because the reason why we have confusion when you be looking at what is all Leos or all Geminis or all this, you can't just go off of your sun sign. You must know what your moon is, your rising, your Jupiter, your Mars, your Saturn. You got to know these things, because for me, this example for me, I'm a Leo sun, Leo gang. Okay, I'm a Leo sun, but I am a double Pisces. I'm a Pisces rising and a Pisces moon. Listen.
He clutched his invisible pearls. Do you
him is a little sensitive.
Just a little.
Listen, I'm very. And that's why I'm trying to tell you, to there meditate so you can get yourself together. Okay? I know. So because I'm a double Pisces, that means that water is my super element. So I know that if I am out of order, get to the water. I gotta drink water. I gotta make sure I'm hydrated. I need to take my shower. I gotta be listening to ocean and river and water sounds. I gotta surround myself with that because that is my power element. If you have a lot of earth signs, you need to get you plants. You need to be around plants. You need to go outside, read sitting at the base of a tree. If you're an air sign, honey, anything related to the air, incense, fresh air. You need to take a breather to go on walks so you can get that fresh air. If you're a fire sign, get your candles, get out there in the sun, get out in the sun and get that, because it is at that time that your downloads be coming through stronger, that you're more in alignment universally because you are working with the universal placements at the time that you came in. And that will help you. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
But air is my thing.
I'm going to get to her question about the tree.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
And the
I'm over here
branches.
just reading things.
So you asked, and I want to restate it again, please. You said, explain how it's important to know the roots of the tree, right? As
Yes.
opposed to the branches, i.e. to understand that Ifa is the base of all of the branches off of what you now know as all the other traditions. When you understand that, it's good to understand where you come from. You know how to take care of a tree, right? You know how to take care of a plant when you know the roots and you know the system. Yeah. And because you know how to do that, it's a lot easier to fertilize and care for that plant for it to grow and branch the way that it needs to. But in order to do that, you have to respect the process. And so it's just like knowing where you come from or trying to have an understanding of where you come from. When you understand and respect that, everything else will seem a little bit easier because you'll already know how to take care of it. So that's my perspective on
that. Good.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And the reason I feel like that's so important to know is because, it's okay to feel called to the branches. It's okay. You may feel called to one of the branches, and that may be your path that's for you. But also, and again, says it much kinder than I do, but something that can be very fucking annoying is when people only study the branches and don't understand the root. And then they go to the roots, and when you're speaking on the root, they like, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah, you
that ain't right.
Something's wrong.
You can't tell somebody something wrong when all you telling me is your godparents ain't teaching you what you're supposed to know. Okay, you got godparents who's supposed to be guiding you, and I'm gonna say, go speak to your godparents. Go talk to your godparents, okay? Because your godparents ain't telling you what you need to know. They're not teaching you. They're just guiding you. It's a difference.
Wait. Reiterate that for the people, please.
Please do.
This is no shade to nobody else, but sometimes you want godparents, and your godparents are not teaching you. They're just guiding you. They are over you. Okay, they're telling you got to bring them offering and bring them certain things, but they're not teaching you anything. And you are a reflection of those God parents. They're not teachers. Okay, that's the difference. So sometimes people be talking, and all you telling me is I got a God, but I don't have a teacher. I got somebody I'm worshiping, but I don't have a teacher. I got somebody who's higher than me, but I don't have a teacher. So when I say, if you're looking for godparents, if you're looking for an elder, you need to have somebody who is well studied themselves, who's well traveled themselves, who can teach you about the value of the roots of the tree. I could tell you ain't got no teachers when you sitting here talking about you self-taught. That's how I know you ain't got no teachers. I can tell you ain't got no teachers when you sitting here being disrespectful to other paths and other traditions, and you think your path is the only truth and nothing but the truth. Okay? So study the roots of the tree. It's okay to be called to the branches. Okay? But make sure that as you are called to those branches, you don't forget the roots, and you water those roots, and you give value to those roots. Now,
and I think that happens mainly in Lucumi, to be honest. From my observation, that mainly happens in Lucumi. Because yes, Lucumi, Santeria is a branch.
I ain't say no names, Afro spiritual.
Yes,
I know.
on
I
purpose.
know.
She didn't say no
I
names.
know.
See, you
I
coming
know.
through.
I know.
Cutthroat.
It's okay.
What you cutthroat
okay.
for?
It's okay. Shoot, I appreciate it. I'm gonna be the one to say it. So it's
Oh
okay.
my goodness.
I may, from my observations and also from what I hear my godparents talk about, you mainly see that in Lucumi, because Lucumi, Santeria, it's an Afro-Cuban expression of the Isheshe tradition. Okay, and a lot of the times you will hear Santeros, they just talk about the branch, but they don't talk about the roots. One of the things I love about my Ile and my godparents, they teach us the branch, but they also tell us the root. For example, my godfather, he's crowned Yemaya, but being crowned Yemaya, he understands the root is Yemoja and the origins of Yemoja and how she became Yemaya in the diaspora. That's just an example. So even though he's crowned Yemaya, Afro-Cuban expression, he will always acknowledge the origin and where she comes from and how she operates as Yemoja. That's just an example. And not every Lucumi house does that. You even have some Lucumi houses that still syncretize to this day. It's not wrong because it's history, but it's still syncretism. It's not you could say the pure Orisha expression under the Afro-Cuban tradition. That's just my 2 cents on that, because I don't want to piss off anyone. I'm still growing and learning, but that's from what I observed and also what I spoke and talked about with my godparents.
Thank you for sharing that Afro spiritual. Like I said, I didn't want to say any names, but Lucumi is popular right now. And again, as I said in the live last night, I think it's beautiful that spirituality, African traditional religions is popular, because now people are starting to return to where they belong. But Lucumi is popular right now, and a lot of people are studying Lucumi and on the journey of practicing Lucumi, but they are not honoring the tree. And this is not just for Lucumi, but I experienced this recently with the voodoo community as well. Okay. And also in the hoodoo community as well. Okay. So this is this happens a lot. Yeah, we about to close out. But all of us are consultants. All of us work with folks and we talk to folks. As an Ifa, I want to hear your opinion on divination. Divination in the form of can we start with your opinion on tarot cards? Can we start with your opinion on tarot cards? Can we then move to your opinion on cards as a whole and all that stuff, and then talk about what divination is? Come on. Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead. Look, X-ray.
Just go on and rip the Band-Aid. Just do it.
Commercial first. Y'all should be in my class on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern about divination and Ebos, because I'm going to touch on this, okay? Commercial. 7 p.m. live here on YouTube.
Shout out the YouTube channel.
It is Ifa Chandra Charisse. You can find it. It's my name, or Ifa Chandra right now is what the handle itself is. Girl, do you know they took Chandra Charisse, and I don't know why? They have an error going on with these handles, but anyway.
Anti-black.
Period.
Everywhere else on social media, I'm Chandra Charisse. So, man, I had to put on, am I getting nasally? I feel it. Okay. Divination, tarot cards, crystals, shells, because we don't use shells over here. Only certain Orishas use shells. So I'm going to say that. Okay, for yes and no's. And did you like what we gave you? All right. All of these things that people use, and then they tell you and getting a reading, that is not a divination. A reading and a divination are two separate things. They are not the same. So they need to stop using it because it seems popular. A divination gives you a prescription for your issues. And with that prescription comes what you need to do in order to balance out that prescription. Readings give you the possibilities of your outcomes. And that's totally up to you how that happens, but you don't get an answer to your question on how to fix it or what can be done in order to fix the energies as they stand right now. So there is no such thing. If someone is using that term, they're getting your coins because it's a good hashtag or it's a good word to search on Google right now. Okay. That is not a divination. There's no psychic reader that's going to give you a psychic divination because they're not going to be able to tell you how to fix the problem. That's the difference. So I wish people would stop wasting their coins. All the money that people get paid and stuff on Etsy, y'all need to be cutting my ass some checks because I cost less and the stuff gets done. That's how I feel. I get so angry. I get so angry and disappointed in people who spend all this money. And then because they spent it in the wrong place and these people were just taking their coins, they then have the audacity to come and question people with pure heart, pure intentions, walking and doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. Will question you to death, but didn't have a problem sending money and cutting a check to people with the buffoonery. Okay. That burns me up. Especially when you can tell, and I don't know how they get caught up with between their common sense and their ovary, get caught up with some people. If they come to you and they meet you in a certain space and you know that they aren't who they say they are later, then you leave them alone. But when you just all right with cutting the checks to people who just slide into your DMs, because we'll never do that, who just you just see and they're like, they seem like so-and-so, and you didn't watch them a little while to figure out if that's really who they are every day on all their platforms. And you're just giving them your money. And then when you find people that can help you for real and the stuff that can help you for real, and then you want to question the shit out of them, nothing gets me more than that. Because nothing hurts more in this world than knowing you can help people, but they're not listening. So
damn.
If they say that they're doing a divination, their ass is pulling a tarot card, run. Is there anything wrong with reading tarot cards or having tools? No, because Olodumare created it. So no, that's the tool you need to help you get where you, hell, I could read a deck of cards and they can be talking about crayon colors. It don't make me no difference. But I'm just telling you that is not a divination. And don't let people tell you that it is. Use those tools to develop what it is that you do to help people the way that you need to help them. But do not lie to the people and stop giving your coins to these folks. I'm done. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Drink some water. Yeah, drink some water. Drink some water.
In simple terms,
now. Look, switch.
In simple term, tarot cards, whatever you're using outside of Orisha divination, read spirits, because I'm also learning a spiritismo on top of everything. Read spirits. Caracoles, carry shells, because that's what we use here in Lucumi. Upwele, the king. That's Orisha. Orisha speaks in a set way. That's it.
And thank you for clarifying the Afro-spiritual, because again, this is just a reminder that different traditions do different things, okay? So you just received an example of that, okay? Now, normally, I know I said in the beginning that what I love about Ia is that she's so much kinder than me, but sometimes y'all, Ia just give it to you like it is. Sometimes she give it to you like it is. This is one instance when it comes to speaking on divination. This is one instance where Ia is much kinder than me, because I said it nicer in my other video. Notice I said it nicer. Okay, I said it a little nicer. Ia just told you what it is, huh? Okay, but I think that's important because y'all know me. Y'all know I try to be welcoming. Okay, I try to show respect to all paths. However, some practices, y'all, again, are just like foreign to us. Some practices is just like, we just don't do that. Okay, we don't do that. Like I said, that ancestor money thing, we don't do that. The whole twin flames thing, we don't do that. It's just certain things that's just like, it's not us. And I know it's being taught to y'all and pitched to y'all as African. It's being taught to y'all as like, oh, this is a part of ATRs. But some things, and this is why I always say study. This is why I always say do your research. I always say that because y'all need to know what's for y'all and what's not for y'all. Okay. Now, with that being stated, we're gonna wrap up on this.
Yeah, Tyler asked what was the necklace for, and I said it represents Orumula, but there's a joke behind it that we have about people pulling out all the necklaces.
Can you okay? Can you please explain? Because again, Ialengo, can you please explain Orumila and explain? Okay, because you talked about Orumile. Can you explain the difference between? Well, you already explained Orumile. We're not gonna repeat that, but
yeah, Orumila and Orumila.
Yeah.
Oh, it's showing lekes now.
And that's what I said. People be pulling them all out. But I just say,
a joke.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Okay, listen.
If we're showing the lekes, I mean,
stop. Go ahead.
You can't say what it is because you gotta stick to the basic necklaces. So Orumula is the Orisha over the tools of divination, the communication between man and Olodumare, also the communication between man and various energies and heaven. So that is what Orumula. So this, and whenever you see people with you see bracelets on their wrist, if someone has this on their right hand, leave them alone.
I want to clarify the bracelet real quick. The hand of Ifa, depending on the color. If it's brown and green, that's Isheshe. If it's yellow and green, that's Lucumi. Yes. I digress.
Yes, or Santeria, because they do that too.
Yep.
But it will always be Obatala and Ifa. Obatala, the oldest, okay? Obatala and Ifa will always be on the left hand. If they're wearing it on the right hand, it's a problem. All other Orishas or Orumile on the right hand. This one is for Ibeji. Okay? So
okay, yeah,
I'm gonna say what Ibeji is. Twins.
No, I know you're gonna say Ibeji, but yeah, you keep on introducing new things. It's your fault that I keep on having follow-up questions. I'm blaming you for you. The follow-up question is, can you explain the difference between the right and the left hand in Ifa?
In simple terms?
Very simple terms.
Girl, you know my ass wants to get deep. In the Bible, you all say that energies sit on a certain side of Olodumare. Olodumare being God. So my easy answer to that is, this is that same concept.
Boom.
Certain energies sit on certain sides. Certain energies sit on certain sides. Okay, y'all. This is the final question. If you could give 2 recommendations, 1 book, 1 documentary for everybody. So that means y'all get your pen and paper, because by the time y'all finish this, you should have 8 in total, including me. So you should have 4 books to go by, and you should have 4 documentaries to watch. So 1 book, 1 documentary. What's your go-to recommendation? Starting with Ia, moving to Afro Spiritual, Darcel, and then I'll go.
It's to name this documentary for me because I always forget. So your first beginning book will be Yoruba Religious Concepts by Baba Ifa Karade, Karade. That would be the first.
You stole my book, Ia. You stole my book, but I'm gonna get it.
That is a great book, girl. I'm sorry, but that's a great one for beginners starting at the very beginning. The other one, I'm waiting for Vivian to tell me. It's on y'all probably know what it is, and I can't ever remember, and I'm always looking for her to say it. It's on Netflix, and it talks about the Yoruba village in South Carolina.
The Yoruba village in South Carolina.
Yes.
I don't know. On Netflix. I'm thinking of a few on Netflix, but I don't want to say the wrong one.
I will have to figure it out and tell you. And then the last one, then if it's another TV one or movie one that's free, is the one by Diamond John Henson. They
I should have went first.
listen.
Roots to Heaven.
Yes, that's it. My bad. There's a yes. That's the name of the village. It's Oyotunji, but the name of the documentary about that village, because it's my Iya and my Lulu that are affiliated with that village. So that documentary that they did is what the one I'm trying to talk about. So someone listed it in the chat. That's right. So there you go. Bigger than Africa. Thank you, Jason.
Sazon coming through with the come through.
Come on. Thank you. So yes, Bigger Than Africa would be it. And
so
then
Bigger Than Africa, Roots to Heaven, by Diamond Honshu. That's on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime. And then your book is the Handbook of Yoruba Religious Concepts. And y'all could go get that on Amazon or wherever. Okay, those are my same recommendations. Okay?
Girl, because that's the basis. If they want semi-advanced, it would be by Chief Farmer. But I can't say that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We aligned in that. Okay, so that's my recommendation as well. And then for a second book, of course, y'all know somebody said The Alchemist. Y'all know that's my favorite book to start from very, very beginnings and understanding the spiritual journry, understanding the value of the language of the world and all that. And then if you're in the wellness community, go to the book list. Okay, but Afro Spiritual and then Darcel.
All right. Now, I can only speak from Hoodoo because there is certain books that my godfather recommended to me and I forgot, but I still need to purchase them. Lord have mercy. One of them is called A Year in White. That I do remember that. One of them is called A Year in White for Lucumi. Basically in a roundabout way, it speaks of, from what he told me, it speaks of your journey in Yabarahe as a Yawo, because in Lucumi, you wear white for a year and 7 days before you're able to come out of it and you're a full-fledged Orisha. Okay? Basically, you're a baby again after you make Ocha. You're a baby again. So have to be clean shaven, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. For Hoodoo, the book I recommend is Mojo Working by Katrina Hazard Danu. Love that book. It's not a how-to, but it gives context. It gives context, especially from the Bakongo understandings that are in Hoodoo practice, which a lot of people don't like to recognize, but I mean, Bakongo understanding is there. You have to remember Hoodoo is a mix of things. Now, when it comes to documentaries, I don't have documentaries, but if you know what to look for, you will see it. Daughters of Dust. And I want you to read the works of Zora Neale Hurston. All right? Read the works of Zora Neale Hurston. When it comes to Hoodoo practice, nothing is going to be explicitly told. And if you find books that is explicitly told, especially when they're written by a non-melanated person, run. Hoodoo is hidden in plain sight up under your nose. You have to know how to decode it to be able to apply it. That's how it works.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Daughters of the Dusk. If y'all watched the live that I did yesterday with my sister Queen Imani Live, we talked about Daughters of the Dusk and we unpacked that, and she talked about, some things dealing in that. That's an excellent film. People are saying Sankofa is excellent. Y'all, I hope, if you are a student, a fan, a follower, a supporter of the Queen Poe, I hope y'all are seeing the divine alignment. It's a reason that we are all in here as a collective, okay? Because y'all, this it's a reason. Darcel, please, documentary, book, or whatever recommendations you would like to share.
Yeah, I have a couple. One, as someone who is DNA Obatala, I'm gonna recommend Iyanla Vanzant, period, as she's a priestess of Obatala. I'm gonna recommend Peace from Broken Pieces and Trust, Mastering Trust by Iyanla Vanzant. Now, that is on that spiritual development aspect. If you are trying to deconstruct from Christianity and the colonized version of that, I'm going to recommend A Course in Miracles. It's called A Course in Miracles. And I can't remember the author, but if you type in A Course in Miracles, it's going to come up. And I'm also going to recommend the book The Church Didn't Want You to Read. That's the name of it, by Tim C. Leda. As far as documentaries are concerned, there's a documentary that I think it's even on YouTube. It's called All Is Self. All Is Self. I recommend that. And if I can make a super recommendation, I would say your own journals. I would say write down your own life experience. I would say write down what your story is, rewrite your story, relook at it, because your life and your living is your own personal Bible that nobody can disprove. No one can tell you otherwise. Can't no one manipulate, add stuff in, and take stuff out. Start writing down your life experience and read that. Maybe thousands of years from now, someone will find that and add that to the biblical canon.
Absolutely.
People be underestimating the power of the written word. If you write things to yourself, especially things you learn, and write it down, put it in a book, forget it, you'd be surprised how that manifests in your life.
Hello.
You'd be surprised. I'm careful. Power of the spoken word, honey, I am the word. Power of the written word, what I write is written in stone, simply put. So if you write it down, set it in that book, have it by your bed, sleep, do whatever. But just be careful what you write down. Be careful what you speak. It's going to come to pass. Trust me. Trust me. And I witnessed this. I recently burnt a petition I placed in my Bible and forgot about. Pulled it out, realized every single thing I wrote in that petition came to pass. I was like, damn, set it and forget it. All right.
So this is the thing, right? I hope everybody took away something that was powerful, that touched them. I hope y'all took away something that meant something to you, something that hit you to your soul. I hope you learned something. The contact information for every single person in this chat will be placed in the description box of this video. I can't place it until the video is fully uploaded. It's the difference between live streams and uploaded. So once we end the live, the video will officially be uploaded after it processes. So once this is processed, it will be uploaded. I will replace everybody's contact. So you're going to have to come back for the contact if you didn't catch it when they gave it. Okay. But please, if your spirit is leading you to, reach out to everybody. Everybody has a sacred community of their own. Ia will have a class live on YouTube, on her YouTube channel, Sunday, Ia?
Saturday.
It'll be Sunday at what time? Saturday at what time?
Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Eastern, I will be tuned in. Matter of fact, I will be tuned in right before the wellness community meeting.
Yes.
Our wellness community meeting is at 9 p.m. It's at 9 p.m. So I will be tuned into Ia at 7 p.m. Go to the wellness community at 9, and we can discuss some takeaways from Ia's class.
Let's go.
Hello. Let's piggyback. Let's follow up on. Let's unpack. Let's get this knowledge as a collective. Okay. So please tap into Ia's class on Saturday at 7 p.m. on her YouTube channel. Her YouTube channel is her name. Okay. Now, yes, Paulo Coelho, the alchemist. Y'all so silly. I see y'all putting it in the chat. That's one of my favorites. Now, I want to say thank y'all from the depths of my soul, from the depths of my spirit. I want to say thank y'all for sharing. As y'all can see by the chat, y'all have helped so many people just by sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom. I think the beautiful thing about this collective is that we are all in different spaces of our journey. We all speak to different spaces of our journey. Y'all know something I talk about, and people who support me, Y'all know, thank you, Shannon. I say much love to you. Something I talk
Ashe.
about often is, you know, when you are on the spiritual journey, you go through spaces, you go through time, you go through life, and life keeps happening. It keeps happening. And along your journey, you will be aligned with the people that are for you. And what I love about this collective is that we are all people who are for you. No matter where you are, it's somebody in this collective that is for you. So whoever you feel led to, whoever you feel called to, go to them. Okay? We all support each other. We all love up on each other and we all love you. So thank y'all for doing this. You know, it shows a lot of character. I know y'all know some folks be in competition. So it shows a lot of character to choose collective over competition. And
Say
the
it
fact
again,
that
please, for
y'all,
the people in the back. Say it one more time, please.
shows a lot of character to choose collective over competition. And the fact that y'all chose collective, because I ain't gonna front y'all, and you know, ain't no shade, I ain't gonna call no names, but I've reached out to a few people. Don't think I haven't reached out to some of your favorite spiritualist YouTubers and people like that. It's not common that people choose to be a collective over competition. Okay. So when you are looking at individuals who are choosing collective over competition, when Darcel, just a simple act of Darcel adding me to that live, adding Afro Spiritual to that live, adding Sandra to that live, Sandra to that live, I told you, adding Sandra to that live, just the act of adding us, let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times I done been to other spiritualists live and I click the multi-guest and they don't add. But then they'll come in my DM and ask me questions to try to pick my brain, but they don't want to add and have a collective conversation. So the act of you just simply saying, hey, come join me. Hey, let me open up my space. Let me open up my platform. You know, this is what we do. We open up our space and we open up our platform. So you're looking at a lot of character in these other windows. Okay, because as I said, I promise you, I reach out to a lot of folks and a lot of folks ain't willing to do this. So I thank y'all for doing, first off, before you got here, you did the work to get here. Before you got here, it shows the spiritual work that you have done to become the person you are. You separate ego. You separate pride. You ain't in this, it ain't about money. It ain't about none of that. It's about understanding that I am here. I'm following my purpose. I'm aligned with my passion and I'm going to teach. So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Abundantly, I thank you. To everyone who is watching, much love and much light to you. I will see y'all soon. If y'all have any final words or any final thoughts y'all want to say, please say it, and then we're going to end the live, starting with Iya.
Be in peace and go in peace. And everything you do should operate from a place of peace. That's it.
Afro Spiritual. Ashe.
Goodness. I like that. Oh, that gave me peace, Lord. I went all tranquilo over here. I'm like, goodness. One thing I can say is be mindful of the road in which you walk. Be mindful of the road in which you walk. And the reason why I say that, the road you're walking now, what you're doing now, honey, even though you're walking this spiritual path, this journey, it's a path of self-discovery within itself. The road that you're walking now might not be the road you end up on. So be mindful of the road in which you walk. If it changes, and that's okay. It might be hard at first because we deal with change differently, but you're going to end up where you're meant to be, that is written in heaven in accordance to the blessings that is for you. You either go easily or you're going to get dragged to it. So pick one. Be mindful of the roads in which you walk.
Ashe, Darcel.
Listen, hey, these are not the easiest people to follow after. Okay?
But you're going to follow. You're going to follow and close it out well.
Yes, right. Bring the
I would
convocation.
say-
Let's go.
I would say that really examine what holistic healing means. Really examine holistic. You can do as many spells, as many readings. You can do all types of workings and spiritual things. But if you are neglecting the body, if you are neglecting your mind, you are not holistically well. A lot of the times, because of neglection of our mental or neglecting the mind, a lot of the issues that we're facing are not spiritual matters. A lot of the issue that we're facing is because life has inflamed all our mental challenges and instabilities. So you need to make sure that you are holistically well. Tap into that, check in with self. Self-preservation requires you to be in alignment on all of those levels.
And it is so.
Lovely.
It is so. Much love, much light to everyone watching. Be well, be light, be love, and go out and teach and share. Each one, teach one. Whatever you learned tonight, I want you to make it your mission to pass that information to somebody else, including your children. Okay? Because they are the beginning. They are the beginning.